So, adventurers, the last time we met, the Crown Collectors had embarked on a journey west to Dainne in search of a cure for their dwarven friend Atgier's curse. Finding it at the steps of the Pelorian Temple and meeting yet another member of the party in the form of the elven monk Maven, they encountered the entity within the sword once and for all, and faced off against them in glorious, glorious combat. Unfortunately, one of the members fell in the battle. Koza, who lay bleeding out on the stone floor, was revived once Baylock was destroyed. Sazaros, thinking quickly, grabbed a rather large diamond from the elven monk. Using the revivification spell, brought Koza back to life. And in doing so, ensured that the party would remain whole. Wanting to celebrate with a round, they decided to bring the elven monk along with them. Trotted off to the Frosty Ale, a tavern that Atgierr had read about in one of his books. And drinks were had, food was consumed, and revels were reveled as Sazaros had regaled the entire tavern with the story of Axton Woodman Bloom, the man out of time. And that is where we're going to pick up. As you all, being that it was around 5, 6 o'clock in the afternoon when you guys were kind of getting into the real rambunctiousness of the evening, you all awaken in the morning. And you all awaken in different places.
We're raggy.
And you all, except for Maven, who at this moment is sort of wandering the streets of a very early Dainne, before the sun has a chance to really crown above the buildings. Just kind of wandering through the streets. There's a little subtle foot traffic here and there. You can see market stalls opening, bakers laying out bread and rolls and danishes, and you're just kind of taking in the sights of the city before it becomes congested with foot traffic. Sazaros, you come to consciousness, lying flat on your back at sort of an odd decline angle, head facing down. And you feel this kind of not so gentle poking in your cheek. Just every second or so, something poking you in your cheek, kind of turning your head away from it. Your head is throbbing. You can taste the aftertaste of alcohol on your breath. As you kind of blink your eyes, you erupt with a great belch from your mouth, and a cone of cold just sort of sprays out to a blue sky above you.
Okay, so what is this thing poking me on the side of the face? I turn that way towards it.
Yeah, go ahead and make a perception check.
Oh, righty-dighty.
It's not hard to tell so much. It is a little bit in your present condition.
Uh-huh.
But it is the very, very top tip of a broomstick handle. And as you turn over to look at what's going on, you notice that you are slanted on top of a roof. You make a quick pat down. You notice you have all your belongings, but your head is precariously hanging over the edge of the Frosty Ale roof. The broom handle is being held by a elderly man in a kind of a brown apron, and he's just kind of whacking you on the cheek with it. Hey, you! Get off the roof! You're gonna fall! And then you'll sue me! Come on, get down!
Hey, all right. How'd I get up here? Anyway, anybody?
I don't know, just get down. And he just kind of, realizing that you are now awake, he's not there to harass you, he's just there to get you off his roof. He notices that you're kind of slowly collecting yourself, and he makes his way back into the tavern.
Okay.
Axton, you awake behind a barrel, kind of in a side alley. It's dark. The rooftops kind of overlap above you. You reek of urine and stale ale and grease. You're quite dirty. Your knuckles are on fire. Your jaw is killing you. And you look at your hands, and your knuckles have kind of cuts and bruises and scrapes on them, and you can feel this great welt on the side of your face.
Hey, how the hell did I get here? Do I have everything else like that I normally have on me?
Yeah, you kind of pat yourself down in a similar way, and you've got you're actually in your full armor, but it's just as filthy as the rest of you is. Yeah, you've got your weapons. Doesn't look like anything was taken.
Can I try to recall what happened the previous night?
Yeah, make a history check at disadvantage.
Six.
Nah, it's all a blur. You don't remember nothing. The last thing you remember was Sazero standing on stage, singing your praises, and you know, Atgierr sliding you a tall glass of something brown and stiff, and you downing it, and the rest is history, literally.
Well, I'll get up and try to clean myself off as best as I can and try to figure out where I am.
Okay. Baranor, you are currently trying to get away from a guard. You spent the last probably 20 minutes losing this person, so I'm going to need you to roll a stealth check. Nope. So you find yourself at the dead end of a short alley, and you can hear the clip clop of horse hooves behind you as the guard that you had spooked in your kind of bleary awakening in the middle of the street, with your feet kind of dangling off of a wood cart. You recall sitting straight up and just barreling headfirst into this guard's horse, spooking the horse, throwing the guard from the saddle, getting him very irate and angry, at which point the chase ensued. It only lasted about maybe 30 seconds before he cornered you at the end of this alley. You there! Stop!
I will stop and turn around.
What in blazing devils is your problem? You scared Daisy!
In my defense, I was drinking with a dwarf last night.
Right. What's your name?
Baranor Skyshade.
Baranor Skyshade. You see him actually pull out a, like, kind of a, not, I wouldn't say it's like a pad of paper, but it's like a collection of small scraps. And you see him just sort of, and you see that he's scribbling. Go ahead and make a perception check. Yeah, you can tell that he's not writing your name down. He's literally just scribbling it down to make it look like he's writing your name down. He's like, Baranor Skyshade. I'm gonna remember you. You stay out of my way. You got it?
Totally understand. Will do.
Right, it's alright, Daisy. He didn't mean nothing by it. And you see him kind of turn the horse around and make his way off.
All right.
You find that you are covered in a layer of dust and twigs and sticks, and you are currently about a 45-degree angle into a bush. Currently, at this moment, really can't see what's going on, but you awake with a start. Your jaw is killing you. Your knuckles are bruised and swelling and badly cut, and you just really don't feel good. And you are, like I said, face down in a bush.
All right, so Yuno's going to sit up.
Okay.
And he's going to cast Prestidigitation on himself and kind of just shake all the dust and, gunk off. And then kind of look around and try to figure out how he got to a bush.
Okay, go ahead and make a perception check.
$11.
11. You don't recognize this portion of Dainne. You're in what looks like the hedge of a estate. You're definitely in the upper crusty part of Dainne. Somewhere where you would need a gold seal if that were necessary to get into. Nobody seems to notice you. It is very early in the morning, but you can start to see people kind of looking out their window, and they're noticing this, finely robed human individual pulling himself out of a bush, and it just kind of makes you just a little nervous to stick around.
I am going to take off.
All right, you take off running. Cozy.
Well, not running. Yuno doesn't run. Yuno is walking at a very fine, dignified pace.
Are you doing that power walk? The Oprah power walk?
Yeah, I'm moving, but I'm not appearing to run.
You're moving at a brisk pace.
Yeah.
Flying casually.
Yeah, after a couple, about 20-30 seconds of walking, you do find yourself back onto the main thoroughfare where you're like, I kind of remember where this is. Koza.
Yes.
You feel somebody poking you on the top of the head.
Ow. Stop that.
Well, get your head off my bar, please. As you open your eyes, which are sore, and your whole body is kind of racked with this numbing soreness from the ordeal that you took part in yesterday. You peel your face off the bar, and there's a sticky kind of residue that kind of holds your cheek like glue to the bar. And you keep kind of
bar substance.
You peel yourself off, and you blink your eyes, and you find yourself at the bar of the Frosty Ale with an elderly man who just, you could barely hear him yelling at somebody outside. Just kind of poking your head and trying to wipe the bar off, and you notice as you peel your face off that there is a perfect shape of your head in bar residue where he wasn't able to clean because you were laying on top of it.
Ew. I get up.
About this time you notice Sazaros hit the floor just outside the entrance with a clump. Dust himself off. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that you notice him fall, get up, dust himself off, look left and right, see if anyone noticed, and make his way into the bar.
I look at him and I say, I totally didn't just see you fall off the roof.
I totally just did not see you peel yourself off the bar.
Fair enough.
Wonder where the others are.
What I want to know is what happened last night. I don't remember anything.
Do I have a chance to fight through the cobwebs to figure out anything? Do I remember anything?
Yeah, go ahead and make a history check at disadvantage.
$16.
That's not bad.
So, being that you were kind of the last to start drinking out of everybody, You remember just really getting into this retelling of events of the life of Axton. You noticed that he was kind of talking to somebody, and it seems that he belongs to a family of rather famous warriors. And you kind of wanted him to feel special in his own right, so you felt the need to just belt out this great tale about Axton's deeds thus far. And as the revels kind of reached a volume, you found yourself really jamming hard and with this local band, and caught the eye of a barmaid here, or one of the musicians there, and kind of giving a wink here. You did earn an additional 27 silver and 13 gold.
All right.
And that's when Atgierr started passing out beverages. And he just kept... He was in heaven being here. He had read about this place. He loved the atmosphere. He loved the ambiance, and he loved the beverages themselves. There's a lot of local brews that are made here. And he just kept passing them out. And you, wanting to be an accommodating sort, downed every single one of them with him, to the point where things started to get real fuzzy at about the 10 o'clock hour, and after that, you don't remember nothing.
All right. Interesting. And so I relay this to Koz. I was like, man, all I can remember was really getting into the groove, singing the tale of Axton. I remember Atgierr passing out drinks, and next thing I know, I'm on the roof. And you're not peeling yourself off the bar.
Well, who could we ask to figure out what happened last night? That, we all woke up in different places.
Well, we don't know that. I mean, all we know is to see the two of us. I don't know. Maybe we can find Mike Tyson.
I just want to know how the hell you ended up on the roof.
Yeah, me too. You seen anybody else?
No, I literally just woke up.
Huh. Okay. Anyway, let me get some hair of the dog.
I turned to the bartender and asked if he, remembers anything.
No, I left yesterday around late midday, and I'm more the morning opener, kind of. I bring people their breakfast and their morning beer, but I like to stay away during the evening hours. Too much rambunctious for me. About that time you see kind of tiptoe his way into the bar and kind of look around like, is this the right place? I don't really remember.
And we motioned to him, yo.
Yuno's gonna head over and kind of just sit with the homies.
Mm-hmm. Hello, where have you been?
I don't know. I was in a bush for a while.
What?
Yep, in a bush.
Were you?
Don't know how I got there.
Did you wake up in the bush, or did you wake up and then go in the bush?
I was sort of half in, half out.
Ah, okay. That makes a little more sense.
All right, so during this, I've motioned to the barkeep, and I was like, some hair of the dog and some breakfast for me and my friends here.
Yes, no problem. Will there be anyone else joining you?
Hope so.
I kind of count among us. I'm like, well, where's Atgierr?
He's probably under a barrel somewhere.
Probably.
Well, put that down as a definite maybe.
Maybe. Well, there should be at least, 3 or 4 of us left that aren't here. I think we should focus on finding them before we get breakfast. Make sure they're okay.
Says you.
Alright, fine. I just want to make sure they're alright. I'm gonna walk outside and look around and see if I find any clues as to where the rest of the party is.
Make a perception check. Streets look pretty clear. There's across the street, the road, the cobblestone road itself is about 30 feet wide on this street, and you see the shops, curtains across the street starting to open, and the door, people are unlocking doors and letting them stand open for business. You're starting to see pinks and oranges dot the sky above as the morning starts to crawl on, but you don't really see anybody that you recognize on the streets. Maven.
Koza. Okay, you're moving on. Okay.
We'll come back.
No problem.
Maven, in your kind of walkabout, as you were not participating in the revelry, you just kind of, not so much the drinking anyway. Once it got pretty party-hardy, you kind of slunk off to a room and rested for a few hours, and just spent the rest of the early morning walking the streets. You see a familiar half-elven ranger just kind of poking his head out from an alley and looking left and right.
Hello there.
Hello. Good to see someone that I wasn't being chased by.
Okay. We'll come back to that. Do you want to go back to maybe get something to eat? You stink. Need a bath.
Yes, this is... I don't know why I always allow dwarves to buy me drinks, but yeah, let's go back.
One of the reasons I abstain.
Fair enough.
Doesn't take you guys long. You kind of wind in and out of some of the smaller streets that you're on until you find the main thoroughfare, and fortunately enough, the Frosty Ale is on this larger street. You walk up together. Baranor kind of snags a bread roll off of a passing bakery cart and just sort of crunches it in his hand a little before taking a bite. And you find the Frosty Ale with the big swinging glass mug on a chain and above the door as the familiar sight of the bar.
Oh, well, we will enter. Or I will enter.
Yeah, I'll go in too.
Axton, as you kind of dust yourself off and pick yourself up, you feel the creaking of your armor as perhaps it rained last night and you might have slept outside through it. But as you kind of round a corner, you find that you aren't far away from the familiar thoroughfare. Turns out you very well could have been sleeping behind the bar all this time. And you do as well see the swinging glass tankard above the door of the Frosty Ale.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'll try to make my way into the bar.
Try you do.
Perfect.
You barely do fit through the door, although you are a large gentleman. Koza and Sazaros, you turn around and see three members of your party kind of walk in one after another, with Axton picking up the rear.
Oh, good. Well met, guys. I think we can all agree from the future to beware dwarves serving strange ales.
Well,
I've woken up...
at least beware of Axton or Atgierr serving us ale.
I've woken up in a cart before, but at least I was alone this time.
Do we have everybody in here? Are we missing anybody?
I think we're still missing Atgierr.
Yeah, you look around, Atgier's nowhere to be found.
Well, I believe Sazaros had a good point. I think we should check under every barrel in this place. And then maybe inside for good measure.
Let's eat. Let's get cleaned up so we can at least look presentable around town when we're asking about him.
So you see the elderly man, and he's got a crown of kind of a mop of long, stringy gray hair, a little bald spot on top, sunken eyes, sallow cheeks, very pale, gaunt, and kind of gray skin almost. He's just sort of wiping the bar, and he just kind of counts with these long, bony fingers at each of you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Will there be any others?
Just one more.
So 7, right. 7 plates of sausages and potatoes. Does that work for everyone?
Yeah, works for me. Fine, sure.
Fine.
All right. He kind of goes behind the bar through a little door, and you kind of hear the pan-frying sizzle of something being put into the kitchen, put to a cooking. I'm losing my words here. Stove. That's the word. The smell of the steam and the sizzling meat meet your noses, and you find a reinvigorated appetite you didn't know you had. Although your heads are pounding for the most part, you feel pretty good. Most of you slept pretty well.
Yeah, we slept a good sleep. So, anybody here have any idea where Atgierr may be?
Why don't I get a group history check? This time you can do it a regular roll, not a disadvantage. You guys are pretty much woken up by now.
Natural 20 for a 26.
Oh,
Ooh.
boy.
Nice.
Yeah,
I thought I was doing well.
The sober monk would remember.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say that Stazros, Axton, and I didn't get one from Yuno.
That's because Yuno was on mute. 18.
Okay. So basically everybody but Koza and Baranor. You're starting to look at each other in the face, looking at each other's state of your bodies, like the dirt, the grime, the bloody knuckles, the bruise. Like Axton, you have a big bruise on one side of your face, and Yuno, your mouth has a big bruise on the side of it. Both of you kind of like, wait a minute, I remember. And Axton and Yuno both look at each other going, we got into a fight, didn't we? And you kind of come to that realization at the same time, and at this point, Sazros, you kind of go, wait, yeah, but you didn't start it. Atgierr, wait, and you guys are kind of putting things together. And as much as you guys can piece together through the fog and the blackness of heavy drinking last night, Maven just sort of like connects everything. You know, the connective tissue where she was not as inhibited. She just kind of left as things got rowdy. And what you guys remember is that Atgierr had been kind of challenging anybody and everybody to an arm wrestling competition, and most people were turning him down. But at this point in the night, everyone was sort of game for whatever. So Axton took him up, and it was kind of a draw. Yuno kind of decided to challenge Axton to arm wrestling, and using a little subtle bit of telekinetic magic, he kind of won in a way. It was contested. They got into a bit of a scuffle. Atgierr kind of was cheering the whole thing on, like, yeah, Yuno, kick his ass. Yeah, Axton, kick his ass. He just kind of jumping from side to side. And then you remember him just sort of downing, like, abandoned mugs around the bar, just drinking everybody's leftover alcohol, to the point where Atgierr started teeter-tottering outside, and you just hear him just like yelling at somebody, nobody, everybody, not really sure who, and it was difficult to make out what he was saying. And then he disappeared into the night. That's all you remember of the dwarven rogue Atgierr.
So basically, he could be dead for all we know.
It could be, but knowing that bugger, unlikely.
Yeah, takes a lot to kill him, I guess. Well, what now?
I still stand by my previous statement. Let's eat our breakfast. Let's see if we can get a room, get some rooms, get cleaned up, and see if maybe we can find some of the night staff to help piece things together.
All right, sounds like a plan.
Anybody else got any other ideas?
Weren't we supposed to, like, visit somebody? Didn't we know somebody that offered us to go for supper that night? Or last night?
Sir Hargorve. Oh, no, Sir Hargorve. The gentleman who
no.
rode with us. I told Atgierr just one.
You told a dwarf one drink.
You hear the
In
old man.
retrospect, it sounded like
You're
a good
surprised
time.
you didn't.
Yeah, the elderly barkeep kind of chuckles to himself. You can tell he's sort of listening, He's like eavesdropping a little, and he's like, one for a dwarf.
All right, so I'm assuming our breakfast has been served. We're eating it.
Yeah. He brings
Okay.
out potatoes, sausages, some dry roasted cherry tomatoes. It's lovely breakfast, delicious in all the right ways that a hangover meal should be. He brings you out some breakfast beer, and it tastes. It has like little notes of berry as an aftertaste. Quite nice. It's going to run you all 3 silver.
No worries there.
With your bellies full and your hangovers subsided, we'll say that you guys are kind of getting over it. There's still a little bit of a church bell ringing in your head a little bit, but for the most part, you guys are your shaky knees have gone away, and you feel yourselves ready to take on the day. Speaking of which, the day is yours. The city of Dainne lays before you. What would you like to do, Crown Collectors?
Get cleaned up,
Yeah, I
Okay.
agree with that.
especially Axton, dude.
Yeah, I smell. Oh my god. Let's see if there's a bathhouse here or something.
So I asked the barkeep, is there like a bathhouse, or do any of the rooms have baths attached to them?
No baths here, but you can head towards the center of town on the west side. There's the Apollo bathhouse there. It can accommodate your entire party if that's what you wish. If you wish to have rooms here, however, it's going to run you 2 gold per person or 10 gold for a suite, but it only fits 6.
I'm going to use my by popular demand trait, and I'm going to see if I can convince him for half the rate, dependent upon my performance tomorrow night.
Okay, so if you want to pay 10 now, and then when you perform later on, if it goes well, he'll give you 5 back.
We'll
5
do
silver
it.
back. Yeah, 5 gold back. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, no problem.
Actually, I might have an ability similar to that as well. Just give me a second. It says here that I can find places to hide, rest, and recuperate among other commoners, unless I have shown myself to be a danger to them. They will shield me from the law or anyone else searching for me, though they will not risk their lives for me, from my rustic hospitality. Or being an
Yeah, I
folk
mean, I don't see a reason why you find lodging. It probably wouldn't be super comfortable,
yeah.
and
No,
Yeah.
maybe
probably
we'll
not for
do the
everyone.
half price for the inn. I don't really know anybody here.
Whereas my trait by default, I can find comfortable accommodations.
Yeah, I think yours would probably be better in this type of situation.
Yep. All right. After securing rooms, let's go ahead and make our way to the bathhouse to get cleaned up. Oh, before we leave, I want to ask the barkeep, any of the night staff live nearby? Anybody we can talk to? Try to figure out where our scruffy dwarf went?
I mean, the bartender from last night, he lives here, but he's gone off for the morning, probably to fetch supplies and materials for the bar itself. As far as the barmaid from last night, I don't know. Did you catch a name? We have a few working for us.
Did I catch any names?
That's a good question.
Check, see if I got some scraps with some phone numbers.
I would say, let me think here for a moment. Make a persuasion check. Ooh. Man, you have a 10 in persuasion?
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow. Yeah, you got the name of one of the bar wenches that you were kind of flirting with. Her name was Balana. And she was
Okay.
a pink-skinned humanoid with green hair.
and I relay that to the barkeep. Yeah, Balana. Green hair, pinkish skin.
Oh, yes, lovely girl. She lives down in the Western Ward. Not sure exactly where. Not exactly the type of records that we keep here.
No worries. Thanks.
Of course. Have a good day.
All right. So onward to the bathhouse.
Is there anywhere else that people want to go as well? Like, does anybody need shopping or?
Oh, we're going to need some shopping. Absolutely.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Alrighty. As you make your way out, you start to notice that the city is starting to come alive. You've spent about an hour and a half. It's about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning at this point, and you can feel the energy of the city coming back to its normal kind of resonance as you make your way through the main thoroughfare into the market district, where there are stalls of canvas tents lining the streets, people starting to picket fruit and bread and hanging fish and dried herbs. You see merchants from all walks of life, some with dark skin, some with white skin. There's a couple of Goliaths that are sort of roaming the streets with large great clubs on their back, and they're just kind of looking back and forth, towering over everyone. There's a collection of halflings just sort of moving together as a group from one stall to another, getting in everyone's way as they're so short and small. The city is definitely much livelier than you remember this morning, and thankfully, after a hearty breakfast and breakfast beer, the sounds of the city streets don't assault your senses quite as harshly as they did in the morning. You find yourselves eventually coming up to a large stone building with tall pillars of chiseled stone, with a apex peak at the top in a carved relief that looks like just soldiers or citizens kind of walking around. A kind of a Greek style kind of agora building, and you see kind of a stamped sign above the entrance that says Apollo Bathhouse.
All right.
I'm gonna go knock on the door or go on in.
It's open. There's no door to knock onto.
Okay.
All right. So we just make our way in, and is there something like an attendant or somebody available?
Yep, there's a lovely young woman. She's in a kind of a white, flowy gown of loose-fitting, sort of kind of a beach shirt, kind of a light canvas. You can kind of see through it. It's a little revealing. Beautiful young human woman. She's just kind of right now. Looks like she's filling small bottles of what looks like a transparent oil from a large pitcher, and she just kind of, there's a row of them, and she's just sort of working on all of them.
All right. Well, good morning, angel of the morning.
Kind of looks up. She has these fiery purple eyes, and her teeth, they don't glow, but they're kind of a green color. Not something you've ever seen before, but yeah, she just kind of looks up, and those aspects of those features of her face just sort of stick out to you a little bit. Oh, well, good morning to all of you. Welcome to the Apollo Bathhouse. Will you be all needing accommodations?
Yes,
definitely will.
actually. A double vial for my friend there.
Okay.
Ah, yes. Well,
Oil here is used primarily for massages, which is a service that we offer, but if your friend needs them, and as she's saying this, Axton, you're trying not to move as much as possible, and you just hear this, like every breath you take, every movement of your shoulders,
Every move you make.
fingers, every move you make,
I'll be watching you.
Every bond you break.
your
Every
armor will be
breath you
creaking.
take.
I'm gonna have
And,
to re-oil my armor again.
Oh yeah, it's getting a little difficult to move. And the young woman kind of approaches you, and she is at your chest. You're much taller than her, and she just kind of looks up at you, and she kind of like gets a little looks right in your face, and well, if it's maintenance to your armor that you require, I mean, we could do it for you while you relax for a small charge.
No, that's fine. I got it. I'll do it while in the bath.
Suit yourself, to each his own. All of you follow me.
We don't need to know that about Agnes.
Okay. So, you all follow her past, you round this kind of stone hallway lined with windows that let the morning light in. Also, in between each windows is what appears to be a kind of a wall-mounted torch sconce. Kind of gives off this flickering orange glow that looks a little unnatural. Perhaps it's an enchantment. And you round a corner into a number of side chambers that look like they're private spa rooms, where you can step down into these steaming pools of water with what appears to be a central platform in the middle of each pool, perhaps to set drinks down or food or some kind, or bathing materials. She takes you past all of those and leads you all the way to the end of the hallway, which there are about 10 of these rooms, 5 on each side of the hall. And at the very, very back is a wide open chamber with lined with pillars, fire braziers. There are hanging plants and steam rising from a large central pool that looks like it's about 3 to 4 feet deep. There are several people already sitting in this large pool, and she spins to look at all of you and she says, "Will you be needing a private accommodation, or would you like to join the public forum?"
I'll go with the private.
Private is 5 gold per person.
I'll go for a private also, please.
I'll go
Private
with the
as well
public.
as I'll go private as long as Axton polishes quote unquote his armor. Far from me.
Private for as well.
And for
All right.
Koza.
So, you guys are free to all join in one private room, or you can split off into separate rooms. It looks like 2 of the rooms are already occupied. There are purple and red flower-patterned silks and satin curtains drawn at 2 of them. So however you guys want to split that up. But it's going to be 5 gold a head. It does look like there are benches set up on the sides to both lay down clothing and to sit at, and Axton, if you wish to work, that'll obviously give you the opportunity to do so.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and relax and get clean first, and then I'll start working on the armor.
Okay. Who is where? Now, mind you, privacy is obviously something your characters can choose to have if you wish. However, there's not a lot of shame in this world. Nudity is not necessarily something that everybody shies away from. It's completely up to you. But people bathing in the same room, you are obviously noticing this.
mixed genders, mixed races, people tend to bathe together, and they don't seem to pay any mind to that.
Yeah, I don't mind if anybody wants to share a room with me.
I don't mind either. It's nice to not have a wet wolf with me, though.
As you kind of say that out loud, Baranor, you kind of get a mental ping. You taste blood on your lips, and just for a fraction of a second, you flash a vision of in your mind, and all you can see is about knee level paste running through the woods. You can hear the labored breathing of Luna. Just for a fraction of a second, you can see the hindquarters of what looks like a fox or a coyote that's being chased through the woods with a bite mark on its hindquarters, and then you pull out of the vision immediately.
I'll give a knowing grin, but not say anything.
So, as you all, either together or in your separate rooms, the attendant, who introduces herself as Ursula, brings you massaging oils and towels, a large pitcher of wine, a few goblets that she places on the central table in the middle of this pool, which the water is divine. It is hot. It is steaming. It soothes your ached muscles. You can instantly feel the water has some kind of healing quality to it. Not exactly a healing spell or a salve per se, but there's like almost like a shimmering iridescent sheen to the water that makes you feel like perhaps there's something in the water that's adding to the experience, and it just feels good being in that water.
Do we see anything else out around here? Like, is there, like, what's the, I guess, the age ranges here of people that we're seeing in the bathhouse? Is it mostly like older people, younger people, people of money?
Make a perception check. You caught a glimpse of the public forum pool, and you saw it wasn't a lot of people. There's about 6 people just sort of scattered. There was a couple people together. It looks like perhaps they were together. But everybody else, it seems like this early in the morning, mostly elderly people. There's what appears to be a turtle, which is a turtle humanoid, who was way off in the distance, just sort of pouring a pitcher of water over the shoulders. You can't really tell how old they were because, they all look like they're 150 years old. But, it's pretty much the elderly with a couple of younger people, maybe around your age or younger, just sort of milling about the place. As you were entering, they looked like a young couple that were leaving, and they looked freshly bathed and
How's everybody else doing? I call her to the other rooms.
Yeah, you can kind of hear each other. There's, if you look at the walls between each room, it looks like there's kind of a slotted grate between each room to kind of aid in ventilation or something, and you guys can kind of talk to each other through the walls if you wish.
Well, what's our plans for today, guys?
I think it'd be a
Hello?
good idea to go shopping today.
Shopping, look for Atgierr. Maybe go visit Mr. or Lord, what was his name, Hargorve?
Who is this person?
That's right, the monk probably doesn't know who
Yes.
who this person is. We helped to prepare their carriage on the way into town. And they offered us a meal and a place to stay for the night, I believe.
Oh, nice.
There was... didn't Lord Hargrove also mention something about an undead thing plaguing the walls of the city?
Ooh, I honestly do not remember that.
Might be something to look into. Not today, but maybe a little later time.
At the mention of Sir Hargrove, you notice a passing bathhouse attendant, a different person, a young man, very lithe, kind of ropey, muscled body, wearing kind of a similar loose-fitting white tunic, almost like a toga, carrying a pitcher of oil or water, you're not sure which. He just kind of turns his head and continues walking.
I'm going to talk to her, try to get some attention from one of the attendants, and see if they know anything about the Bloom family.
Bloom family?
Yes.
Okay. You, so just right where you're sitting, and you're just kind of soaking, you finished oiling your armor, and it went just fine. You were able to clean it, for the most part, make it workable and functional again. Now at this point,
Okay, I'm
you're just
back.
kind
Who
of...
died?
Everyone's dead.
Bummer. 3d6.
Everyone's dead. Roll new characters, new campaign.
Yeah.
No, Axton was inquiring to an attendant about the Bloom family.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you're sitting there with your shoulders and arms up on the sides of the pool, and you just kind of look over your shoulder and you notice this long yellow ropey cord, and curiously you just kind of give it a little tug, and you hear this jingling-a-ling. A couple seconds later, that same svelte young man, short curly hair on his head, little tuft of a chin beard, kind of sets the pitcher of oil down, and he just sort of very daintily walks over and kind of looks at all of you. Yes, will there be anything you require?
I just had a few questions. I'm new to the city, and I was told that there's a family called Bloom, and that I might be related to them. What can you tell me about the Blooms?
The Blooms. Is there anything you know? I mean, I personally don't know anyone named Bloom. Is there something they do? Is there... what's their business?
What I hear that they are a mercenary group?
Oh! Well, I try to do my best to stay away from violence whenever I can. It's not really my trade. I'm much more in the leisure and pleasure trade, you see. Different industries, but if you want to know about mercenaries, I do know that the Duke often employs mercenaries to do his bidding. Perhaps placating the captain of the watch might help.
Okay, thanks.
Does this Duke have a name?
Yeah, I was going to say, what would their names be?
He's the Duke of Dainne, Duke Harrington. Wonderful man, very handsome.
And hey, while you're at it, I think Yuno's been complaining of some low back pain. He may need some help from you.
Which one is Yuno? Let me guess. And he points at the furbolg. You're Yuno, aren't you?
Nope. Nice try, but actually it's that very serious, scholarly-looking gentleman right over there.
And I kind of push Yuno forward.
He sort of sachets his way over to Yuno. So where are the trouble areas? Allow me to relieve you of this pressure and stress.
I think that Sazros actually is in need of your services. And I point to the Dragonborn.
Oh, come now. I can see the tension in your muscles. fingers do wonders, trust me.
Yeah, there's a lot of tension. I mean, look at it in his jaw.
Ooh, that's quite a shiner. Up to some old tricks, then, I see. And he looks over at Axton, and he's noticing similar bruises on your faces. He's like, well, you rapscallions certainly get into trouble, don't you? Well, listen, if you want a little extra attention, just tug on that bell, and I'll be sure to come by. And he can see the uncertainty, and you guys kind of ribbing each other, and he's not going to be part of it, so he picks up his oil and takes off. As the I would say late morning starts to press on, you guys feel your skin starting to wrinkle and prune as the steam of the bath begins to kind of, at this point, get a little annoying. You can kind of feel your bodies are getting a little overheated. You're sweating now at this point, which you weren't before. You feel you've kind of gotten out of it what you came to get. You kind of feel yourselves just ready to kind of leave.
Then we get ourselves dried and garbed.
I'll take my towel and I'll whip Sazaros with it.
Make an unarmed strike.
I don't have
And
one of those.
Sazaros, this is without armor. So what's your unarmored AC?
My unarmored AC?
Oh boy, that's like 10 plus your, like, charisma or whatever.
10 plus
That's your
dex.
modifier.
That'd be 13.
All right, beat a 13.
Okay, so I gotta roll a d20 plus 5. D20. Oh, I don't.
So you crack it like.
Yeah, you're able to Sazaros, you see Axton just sort of rolling this towel between his hands, and he's starting to get ready, and you kind of see this, and you kind of, with your, this is a silly question, does Sazaros have a tail? I don't think I've ever asked you that.
Dragonborn do not have tails.
Okay, so you kind of see this happening, and just as he's about to release it, you kind of, you with your long claw nail, you just sort of twang the string on your mandolin, and it distracts him just enough where he gets you, and you're like, but it doesn't really sting really hard.
Yeah. Ha ha.
Just joking, just playing around.
I know. All right.
So where to first, guys? Because I don't really need to go shopping, since Atgierr actually has all my money.
Let's see if we can find the captain of the watch to both help us find Atgierr and maybe help you get some more information about your family.
I think we should also make a stop at, like, I don't know, a potions store to stock up on spell components.
Maybe even some healing potions, just in case. That last battle was pretty horrific.
And if we're gonna be fighting a dragon, we're definitely gonna need it.
Yeah, I'm gonna need
insecticides.
I'm gonna need some arrows. So
we got some stuff
we
to
all
do
have
today
things that we could use. Yeah.
All right, so first off, let me get a who's going to. Are you guys going to split up, or are you all staying together?
Oh, we ain't splitting the party.
Yeah, that's never a good idea ever.
No.
We've learned that the hard way.
Well, why don't you go ahead and give me a group perception check? Very nice, very nice. Wow!
Very nice.
The bath
15.
did its trick, boys and lady. You guys are definitely reinvigorated.
We see everything.
And how about one from Maven?
15.
15. Cool. Yeah, no problem. You guys are kind of like, you step out into the late morning air. You can smell the sizzling of cooked meat on the street. Proper street food, spices, flowers. All these different aromas kind of attack your senses at once. You can feel yourselves getting slightly hungry again. However, you can hear the tinking of metal against metal, and you kind of follow your ear, and you find yourselves heading away from the what you'd call a wet market. The place where a lot of food is sold, and onto more of the retail and commerce section of the city. There's a three-way split in the alleyways. It looks like one is textiles, where you can buy new clothing or blankets or fabric of that sort. Another alleyway looks like it's lined with people with slagged steel over their shoulder, walking into buildings with anvil signs swinging above them. And the third street looks like it's kind of your general goods or your wares, where you can purchase things like incense and things like that. You kind of head shops, places that sell kind of weird odds and ends. And you guys kind of have the run of the place. Where would you like to go first?
Weird question. What time of year is it?
It is right now. It's the third quarter of 1052 of the Third Age, so you're looking at about the autumn months. The leaves haven't quite started changing, but the air is getting crisper and cooler.
Okay, cool.
Well-
Just wanted to know if I needed to get warmer clothes.
Well, getting something with some sleeves may actually help in the swamp with all the mosquitoes.
I'll
All right,
probably
guys, where are
look-
we heading first, man?
Yeah, I think we're gonna look for
So-
like an apothecary
Yeah.
or potions or alchemy lab, maybe. It said something about potions.
Like a general magic shop or something?
I don't know if they have those.
Well, let's look down the dry goods section and see if they do have any kind of apothecary or herbalist type shops.
I'm always out for the look for like new plants and things like that too. So
I need to get some incense.
Yeah, easy enough to find. You go down the alley or not the alley, the street on the right, and there are draped curtains of what look like blankets that may be for sale or perhaps for decoration that's just sort of crisscross across the street, shading the whole street as the sun is getting pretty high in the sky, and these offer kind of like a unnatural canopy. And you find yourself about halfway down that street. You see what looks like a mortar and pestle scratched onto a wood plaque that's sort of stapled to the side of a stone building.
I'll make
All
my
right,
way in.
we go in.
Looks like me and Sazros are pretty much like in sync.
Sure. It's a kind of a spacious place. It's about maybe 30 by 40 feet. It's a little deeper than it is wide, and it's there are shelves and tables sort of spread out throughout the whole place, just covered in different odds and ends. It looks like there are dried herbs hanging from behind a desk at the back, with a brown-haired halfling or gnome or short human. You're not quite sure. He's all the way in the back. There's tapestries covering the walls. There are what look like rolls of fabric shoved into a deep shelf at the corner of the room. There's racks and racks of what look like tunics or blankets. And you just kind of see at the back his furrowed brows just sort of rise over his half-moon spectacles. Yes, come on in. What you looking for?
Well, I'll let my friend speak first.
Well, I was just looking to see if you have any healing potions and maybe any type of interesting plants or things for growing for farmland.
Well, you're looking. I don't have any saplings right now, if that's what you're asking for. And as you draw closer, you see that he is most undoubtedly a halfling. He's got kind of a bulbous nose, kind of pudgy cheeks. He's got a brown chin strap beard, floppy brown curly hair on top. His exposed feet have a tuft of brown fur on the top. And he's just kind of, right now, he's sitting with his feet straight out, sitting on top of a barrel, it looks like, behind a large desk, and he's just sort of doodling into a ledger or a notebook of some kind. Well, if it's, let me see here, if it's healing potions you're looking for, I'm Bertram Belay, by the way. He sort of extends his hand to you.
Bertram, well met.
If it's healing potions you're looking for, I've got, let's see here, and he's just sort of like, he's got kind of a lazy Susan on his front desk, and he turns it around, and you can see all manner of little bottles, some large, some small, a scattering of colors about them. Some of them are what look like separated, like there's a blue fluid with a clear fluid above it, and they're not quite mixing. And he just sort of spins it around to this section of small red pinkish potions. I've got 3 potions of healing here. Those are going to run you 50 gold apiece. I've got 1 greater healing potion here. And that will run you 150 gold.
Well, that's
right.
a bit too expensive for me. I don't know if any of you guys want to chip in for those.
So we're talking, that would be 300 gold for the lot.
That would be, yep, that's correct.
Okay. I'm going to see if I can persuade him to haggle down a little bit. Just, you know, that we are interested and we'd like to buy the whole set, but ooh, that'd be a bit much right off, and see if maybe we can knock a little off that.
Go ahead and give me a persuasion check. Wow, 26. That's pretty good. What would you like to say to him?
I was like, say, you know, what if we say 250 for the whole lot?
You see him kind of look at you, and he goes, "Is that a mandolin?"
Indeed it is.
Well, play me a song, and we'll have a deal.
All righty then.
And you see him immediately just kind of like tuck into his barrel and cross his arms over his knees. It looks as if he has been waiting for a mandolin song all day.
All right. Well, I give him a good, lively, rousing tune.
A lively, rousing tune, eh? Okay. Let's go with this one. Ha ha ha. I hate that you guys can see these, by the way. That is a thing I hate. You see him instantly, his eyes start to close, and he's swaying back and forth, and just listening to you play this rendition of a song he's never heard before. And as the music starts to reverberate and you all are just sort of taken in, it never gets old, you guys listening to Sazero strum on his mandolin. Every time he strums those strings, something new awakens in all of you, and this is no different. And as the halfling is just sitting there rocking back and forth, just sort of nodding his head and just taking in this music that he, for some reason, really, really loves, you see him just sort of take all of the potions and put them into like what looks like a carrying box. There's 4 slots for them. And point of order, the greater healing potion is the same width and as the regular healing. They're just a bit taller. That's all.
Okay.
And just sort of slides them into this small wooden carrying case and slides it over. And he's like, "You know what?
That's some really good playing. We'll call it 220.
All right. I look to the others and it's like, how much can you guys chip in?
I got 15.
I can do 20.
I'll do
Okay.
30.
How much did that leave?
That gives us, that's 65. We get 220.
I'll chip in
145.
another 20.
What was that remaining total?
145. And
145.
Axton just chipped in another 20, so 125.
I can put in 80.
80. All right.
I'll do 50.
I think that covers it once you do that.
Okay. All right. So who is giving how much total? Axton, how much are you giving total?
I think I gave like 30.
Mm-hmm.
It was either 25 or 35. I can't remember. We'll say 25.
25. Okay, Koza, how much total did you throw in?
I'll give 50.
50. And Maven?
30.
30. And Barry? Baranor?
80.
80. All right. Let's see. There's me. Were you there? Did you chip in anything?
Yeah, will throw in what are we missing to cover them?
Let's see.
Drum roll, please.
That's a total of 185 so far. So, 40.
All right, will cover the other 40.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, he takes the gold happily and slides you the little tiny box carrying case with 3 potions of healing and 1 greater healing potion in them. And he just sort of he's just kind of reeling from the feelings that he got from the mandolin playing and just kind of gives you a nod. He's like, "Will there be anything else for you guys?"
You got anything in the way of some really good insect repellent?
Ooh, as a matter of fact, I do. Hold on a second. And he kind of goes behind a curtain and brings out this box with a whole other host of clinking glass bottles. And he kind of pulls one out, and it looks like it's got like a beetle in there with some oil dripping from the sides. He's like, no. Pulls out another one. It's like kind of a yellow liquid with like a sparkling, twirling pattern in it. And he puts that down. He's like, no. Here we go. And he pulls out what looks like a tall bottle with sort of a spritzer on top, and it's filled with this very, very, very slightly glowing orange liquid. And he says, 2 spritzes of this per person, and you should be left alone from any manner of local fauna in the insect arena for at least, I'd say, a good 5 hours. And I'll give you this for 10 gold. Have the whole thing. It's honestly, I could give you the recipe to make it yourself. It's not hard. It's kind of there's sort of sage and orange peels and a little bit of oil and water, and you just kind of shake it up, and it keeps for about a month.
Okay. I will take these vials, I will take his recipe, and I will gladly pay him with 2 platinum.
Ooh. Okay, I will send you the recipe after a little later.
That's okay, or I can just say recipe for insecticide, and that'll do it.
Yeah, there you go. And you can see on the top of the recipe it says not for magical creatures.
Okay.
whatever that may mean.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Anybody else want anything?
Yes, I don't know if you may carry this, but I'm looking for some kind of druidic talisman. If you have something of that sort here.
Druidic talismans?
Yes.
You're gonna want to go a little down the street, or maybe across the alley there, and visit. His name's Horsker. Or sorry, not Horsker. That's the name of a warehouse that they visited in Brackenshire.
Thought that sounded familiar.
Fodel. F-O-D-E-L. Fodel's ingredients. He carries all kinds of magical doodads and trinkets and things like that. Mostly spell components and the special kind of spices that you don't find in a general goods store or odds and ends place like this. But yeah, go give Fodel a visit. Tell him that Bertram sent you. He may give you a discount. He may tell you to screw yourself. I don't know. He and I have an on and off relationship, if you know what I mean.
Yes, indeed. Thank you for the advice.
Sure, no problem. Anything else I can get to anybody?
Where would I be able to find a place that would sell, say, some herbs, some berries, saplings, or even just like normal farm vegetables?
Oh, normal. I mean, vegetables. You can go out to the main market thoroughfare. They sell vegetables all day long. Fruits, vegetables, berries, that kind of stuff. If you're looking for things that sounds like you want to plant yourself, you might want to go down to the end of the way here. There's a stall there, and he sells seeds and stuff like that. I don't know if he's got saplings per se, but I know he sells beans and dried seeds and things like that.
That'll do. What's the name of the place?
I don't know. I never visited it. He's at the end of the alley, just before it turns right into the residential areas. You can't miss him. He's got kind of barrels and baskets filled with all manner of seeds and such.
Perfect. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I'll leave a gold. Actually, yeah, I'll leave a gold.
All right. And before we leave, I tell Bertram that if you liked what you heard, come to the Frosted Ale tomorrow evening. I'll be performing. Tell your friends.
It will definitely be there. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And you can see him scribbling Frosty Ale for sure. Yeah, he really dug in. He really got into that music big time. Something about the way you played really, really resonated with him.
Ooh.
All right. What's next?
I think we should give Fodel a visit.
Yep. Let's just continue down the end of the road, see what else interests us.
You see, as you exit the apothecary, you see what looks like a small human child, dark hair, brown skin, big, huge brown eyes, kind of wearing tattered clothes, and he just kind of looks up at Sazros, and at first he gets kind of spooked, and then noticing you're carrying a musical instrument kind of catches him off guard, and he just sort of raises his open hand at you.
I look down. Well, hello, little one.
You're shiny.
Indeed I am.
Wow, are you a dragon?
I am born of dragons.
Wow.
And then you see him instantly change his demeanor. I'm hungry.
I reach in my pocket. I give him a silver piece.
He kind of takes it in his hand. Now, mind you, at this point, the other members of your group have kind of moved past you because you kind of slowed down to
Yeah.
this boy. So he kind of grasps it in his hand. You can feel him kind of grip your hands, and I need you to make a perception check.
Now the time I'll probably fail and not notice myself getting pickpocketed.
Yeah,
24.
you beat me. You definitely feel a tug on your purse strings from behind,
All
where
right.
you see an almost identical-looking young girl. She's also got dark brown hair, long down to the small of her back. Both of them thin and very, very springy and stringy. And she's just kind of like tugging at your purse strings and then looking at her brother. And her brother kind of looks up at you, and she lets go of it, and they both scatter.
All right.
The silver piece clings to the ground where he stood.
All right. I pick up the silver piece, just kind of flip it in my hand, put it back in my pocket, readjust my purse strings a little bit, and catch up with the party.
As you catch up to them, you see these waving tapestries on either side. They almost look like they're tie-dye, except they have what looks like a dripping pattern. It looks like they were dyed specifically in this way. And a couple of them look like they've got strings attached to the top. Perhaps they're capes, not quite sure. You've never seen patterns like this before, though. They're very vibrant. The colors are very bright. And as you pass them by, you see rows and rows of very fine clothing. There are actually a couple of what look like armed guards. They're not blackguard. Looks like perhaps private security for whatever company is running this textile store on this side of the city. And because this clothing, I mean, it's adorned in pearls and small jewels and gold filigreed, and it appears you've entered a portion of the city that's for extremely wealthy people looking for raiments or clothing of some sort.
All right. Finally. Place where I can get some decent duds.
Do you like what you see, Dragonborn? You turn and you see what looks like a kind of a man with very tan skin, a tight, cropped, closely shaved beard. He's got kind of a pompadour-like hairstyle that kind of curls into a dread on the right side of his face. He's wearing what look like very small gold-rimmed glasses, and he's dressed in purple and silver striped robes. He's carrying a clipboard, and on his belt it looks like he's got like a pair of scissors and a tape measure and some pins and things like that.
I do indeed like what I see. Is this your work?
Some of it is my son's. Fister and
my
son, how are
compliments
you
to
doing?
both of you.
This is my menagerie of raiments here, and please do yourself the good pleasure of perusing my wares. All prices are negotiable, and anything can be bought at a bargain. And you see him immediately kind of dart away. He's like, "Out of here, rapscallion!" And you see him chasing away different kids, but street urchins, to say the least.
Okay. All right. I shall begin my perusal.
Okay. Go ahead and make an investigation check. Wow, you're rolling high today.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there is a plethora of interesting garments at this. It's not really a stall. It's kind of like two storefronts facing each other, and it looks like it's owned by the same guy. And as you're kind of, flipping from one rack to the other, you can see that these armed guards one of them is keeping at least one eye on you as you look through it. You see a beautiful set of green and silver clothes that look like they kind of have like a puffed chest and puffed shoulder appeal to them, with kind of a striped going down each arm, with what looks like kind of a gilded skirt on the bottom. There's another solid red set, what almost looks like it's made to look like armor, but it's made of like this really slippery cloth. And there's a kind of a blue and purple wizard's robes kind of an outfit, but it's cinched in the middle, so it's not exactly, it doesn't flow all the way down. It's sort of cinched by a belt, kind of like a long tunic that's met in the middle. And there's another outfit that's just multicolored that has kind of like puffy legs that are tight at the knee and go straight down into stockings with these kind of flowery silk-looking protrusions coming from the corners of the chest and kind of ride along the shoulder, kind of like a mohawk on each arm. And each one is as beautiful and different as the next.
All right. Alrighty, so let's see. For the green and silver outfit, how much are you asking for that?
Green and silver. Give me one moment. Do you mind if my associate takes your measurements while I look that up?
Absolutely, no problem at all.
You see a fire red-haired half-elven woman with just her face is pale and she's just bespeckled with freckles all over her face, green, vibrant green eyes, and she's kind of got what looks like a pencil stuck in her hair, and her hair is like kind of wild at the top, but eventually gets braided down into tight braids that kind of slick back her hair. It looks like she probably came to work looking very presentable, but as she was working and sticking pencils in her hair and stuff, it kind of came a little dislodged.
All right.
But yeah, she starts taking measurements, sticking her pencil in her mouth.
I'd be a little
writing
generous
stuff
here in the
down.
end scene now.
Well, you are a much taller customer than I'm used to. I'm sure you'd understand if I had to adjust the price based on the amount of material needed to accommodate you. But this set here could be tailored to fit you for, I'd say, 25 gold pieces.
That sounds great. And the red armored appearing piece?
Yes. The red, this is a very special piece of armor. It does serve as protection. However, the enchantment guided onto this fabric is not as strong as, say, something that was properly enchanted to be a magical item. This raiment actually has the ability to prevent someone from hitting you every so often. In its current form, it stands at 500 gold pieces. Adjusted to fit with, I would say, 510. And what this has the ability to do is you have a 50-50 chance of an attack being at disadvantage when they hit you.
Gotcha. All right, well, I am going to keep that in mind, and hopefully after a couple of more successful gigs, I can come take you up on that one. But I think that green and silver one, we are good to go with.
Green and silver, if you'll only give me, let's say, 3 hours, I should have this properly tailored to fit your robust frame, Mr. Dragonborn. What's your name, by the way?
The name is Sazaros.
My name is Horton Fisker. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, and please do tell your friends about us. We appreciate the word of mouth advertising more than anything else.
Will do.
All right. So that's 25 gold for the silver and green raiment.
Mm-hmm.
And I will make some mock-ups in Hero Forge later, and you can tell me which one you like.
All right, will do.
Because it's time to get out of them red and blue duds.
Yep. And everybody else, hopefully, has not fallen asleep.
Nope. That enchanted set sounds almost like it's a cloak of displacement almost.
Almost.
Yeah.
That's definitely doing that.
Too rich for my blood, though.
I would totally want to.
distortion.
I don't have 500 gold to throw. All right.
I will be right back. Give me 30 seconds.
Yes, sir. Sorry, guys. I didn't mean for that to take that long.
That's
It's
fine.
okay.
It's all good.
I wonder if we'd actually be able to find some cloaks of displacement in the city.
That would be pretty awesome.
Or if we can go hunting for some displacer beasts. I know leatherworking.
Hey, now we've been down that road before. And
Oh, no.
I have many questions, but I'll leave it alone.
What's your questions?
I want to know why everybody's like, oh no.
Well, the displacer beasts themselves, trying to fight them are pretty hard.
It's an ordeal.
But you've already tried at one point.
No, they were actually going to be set loose on us. They were kept in cages, but unfortunately we were never able to purchase them or fight them.
Or tame them.
Or take them. We wanted to tame them.
You might have had the opportunity, but you done got kicked out of Brackenshire.
We did.
Okay, I'm back.
In rather spectacular fashion.
I've heard the tales.
All right, what's
Pretty
next?
exaggerated, I'm sure.
I'd like to go to that stall that might have some of the fruits, vegetables, and seeds, saplings that I might be looking for.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's literally probably 50 feet, maybe 60 feet away down the end of the alley. There's a stall with what looks like a squat dwarf with a mess of black hair on top. Kind of a short beard for a dwarf. Big round nose, beady little eyes, and he's got kind of brown clothes with an apron. And you see him scooping what look like black-eyed peas into a small handheld burlap sack, and kind of looks up at you and, well met, my armored friend. What can I do for you?
Well, I'm a farmer by trade, and I'm looking to start up a new garden, and just looking for anything interesting or something that I could start planting. What type of seeds do you have?
I've got all manner of seeds. Anything in specific you're looking for?
Not at this time, no. Nothing in particular. Kind of like my hobbies. I'm planning on growing a large variety of just about anything.
Well, I mean, I've got your typical garden fare here. I've got green beans, cucumbers, pumpkins. I've got, let's see over here. And you just see him, he's got like 3 dozen or so different little baskets about the size of a cantaloupe each, filled with all manner of different kinds of seeds. And, yeah, I mean, he's got, let's see here. He's got orchids. He's got 3 different types of orchid plants. He's got daisies. He's got actually edible flowers, 3 different types of edible flowers. He has wheat. He's got barley. He's got, I mean, just an absolute plethora of plants. I mean, I'm not going to list, 3 dozen different types of plants. He doesn't have a lot of specific stuff. Like, he doesn't have 15 different types of barley. He's got barley. He's got some mushrooms. So yeah, and so what do you?
Well, I
He
have
just kind of he sees you looking over his wares. He's like, "Is there anything in particular you're looking for?"
nothing in particular. So that's the thing. I'm just looking for variety. So I'll take a few of everything you have.
Oh, alrighty. Let's see here. And you see him just sort of take like a spoon, like a small spoon, and just grabs like 10 or 12 of each of the seeds, and just sort of, he's like, "Do you want them separated, or doesn't matter?"
Separate them, please.
Oh, okay. And he kind of like rips the bottom of a piece of parchment and just sort of wraps each of the little bundles of seeds so they form kind of a wad, and stuffs them into this little handheld burlap sack. And let's see here. I will get together a list and give that to you after the session.
Yeah, just
He
let me
gives
know
you
how much they
12
cost.
Yeah, he's going to give you 12 different types of seeds, about 10 or 12 each, and that's going to cost you 1 gold.
1 gold. Oh wow, that's a lot cheaper than I thought it was. Okay.
They're just seeds.
True.
It's actually kind of expensive, but you made him separate each of them individually.
True.
Yeah, seeds
Okay.
are cheap.
Perfect. I may be back.
Well, I'll be here.
Hey, where to next, guys?
Perhaps we should go to this Fodal's magical wares.
Yeah, I heard someone mention something about druidic charms. I think
Yes.
that would be a good idea to.
And I would highly recommend you gentlemen check out Fisker's Clothiers.
I may go to those. I just wish Atgierr was around so I could have some of my money.
Yeah, you guys haven't seen him all day. Not high nor hair.
Does anybody have like a message spell or a sending spell or something?
No, not that strong.
You have message.
Yeah, that's got a limited range to it.
It does? I thought message can
Does
reach. Oh no, I'm thinking of sending.
You're thinking of sending.
Yeah. Well, what's the range on message? 150 feet.
That's
120 feet.
I think you have to see them too, also, don't you?
No.
I
you
do
don't see it.
No, you
believe
don't have to-
so. Let me just.
You have to point your finger towards the creature.
Yeah, you have to know
The
which
creature.
direction they're at.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty generous when it comes to that. I'm not gonna. You don't have to be like sniping them from an exact location. General direction will work.
Yeah. So yeah. I mean, I could like go in the 4 cardinal directions and just whisper something to see if he catches me. If he's within 120 feet, although I think I would probably see him before I.
Message is really cool, like for if you're in prison with somebody and they're on a different part of the prison, you can like sneak little messages to them. Or if you're in a dungeon separated by a wall, it's actually a really useful spell if it's used correctly.
Mm-hmm.
But when you don't know where they are, it's kind of useless.
Yep.
Or you don't split the party in general.
You see, you'd think we'd know that, but I think we needed Brackenshire to learn that.
Mm-hmm.
As you guys are sort of discussing this and kind of moseying your way, you see what looks like a triangular tent nestled between 2 brick buildings. Tent's about 20-25 feet across. Looks like it's about 30 feet tall, although most of the canopy is probably uninhabited. And there's a kind of a moon and star pattern sewn into the canvas of the tent, and a big red letter F sort of floating in midair, made out of kind of a glowing glitter material that just hovers above the entrance flap.
Well, guys, I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think we found Mr. Fodal.
I would say you're right. So
All right.
we approach the tent.
Approach the
Approach
tent.
we shall.
Yes.
So a few of you have had experience with magical buildings being larger on the inside than they appear to be on the outside. And as you approach this tent, you assume that this will be the case. You kind of whip the flap open, expecting the inside to be this wide open space, and it's not. It's terribly cramped. You all kind of pile into this little 5-foot square and sort of knock over a couple of shelves with some stuff on them.
Okay, we can't all be in here.
All right, one at a time. Aston, you go first. Rest of us will back out.
What the hell's going on out there?
You kind of hear somewhere, and this place is packed with stuff. Shelves and shelves that kind of protrude the further down they go. Tables. The place is only about 20 feet across, 20 feet deep, and you can hear someone in the back covered up by a couple layers of racks and shelves of things. There's bowls of powder, there's bottles of liquid, there's what looks like hanging herbs of very strange colors and striations. You get the feel, the spicy smell in here is very ethereal and wispy, and definitely, Axton, you don't recognize the smell of any of these dusty, dry herbs. They don't seem natural to you.
Hello? What you doing? I'm gonna let my dog out if you don't get out of here.
Gee, what an accommodating salesperson.
You see kind of a shadow kind of moving between the shelves, and you see this black cloaked individual, completely covered in a black cloak to where you can't see their hands, their face, nothing.
I would like to try.
Have the rest of us back out?
I would like to try and squeeze my way into the tent.
Well, right now everybody is in the tent, and it's
I'll
causing
back
quite a problem.
I'll back.
Yeah, we're packed in like a stuffed elevator.
I'll just try to listen in.
Okay. So, Koza, you being
there.
up front, you definitely see this individual, and the first thing you notice, because Axton, you're not looking, so you don't see this. But Koza, you have a pretty high passive perception, so you see he doesn't look like he's walking. He seems to be kind of very gently drifting towards you. And his black cloak just completely conceals his form. And he's very short, but his head seems to be like narrower than you'd expect somebody as squat as this. And his arms just sort of kind of drift and sashay at his sides.
Hello, sir.
And he answers you, and you kind of hear his voice not come from his head like you'd expect. It almost sounds like it's coming from his chest. And he just says, "Welcome to Fodal's magical... What are you all doing in here?" And you can see his head just sort of swaying left to right, looking at all of you. "I don't think my tent can accommodate all of you. You're going to have to split up a little bit there."
Yeah, no problem. I'm gonna back up. Who's behind me?
Maven, Baranor, Axton, they're all behind you.
I'll back out as well.
I'll back up
Okay.
too.
Yeah. So we're gonna back this crew up and come in one at a time. That work for you? Great.
Yeah. As you back up, you knock over a couple of shelves, and as they start to fall over and topple, you go to reach for them, and you see Fodal reach out with his hand. And again, you can't see his hand; it's encased in this cloak. And you see something glow from the inside where his hand is, and you see the shelf just sort of shiver and shake and instantly leap back into place, and all little items kind of arrange themselves where they were. He's like, "It's all right, I got that." Okay. So,
I
big
apologize.
fella. Oh, no, it's okay. It happens all the time. You'd think I'd get a bigger space, but anyway.
Well, we're also used to tents like this being bigger on the inside. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. I heard about that. It's a hell of a cliche, that enchantment. Waste of time and energy, if you ask me. I don't need that much room.
Anyway, the reason we came here was, I wanted to ask about your druidic charms. Do they,
Yes.
A, do you have them, and B, how well do they work?
Well, I'll answer the first one by answering the second one. They work great.
Okay. Well, in that case, I was inquiring about a clairvoyance charm.
Clairvoyance charm. All right, give me a second. And he kind of turns around, and as he spins, he doesn't like you're used to seeing people who turn around, move a certain way. He just literally turns 180 degrees and drifts
He literally
away
just
to you.
rotates.
Yeah, he just rotates and drifts away.
That's very odd, yet slightly hilarious.
He's you hear him kind of let's see here. Druid charm. I admit I did not expect you to ask for this. I don't have it ready.
Dungeons and Dragons.
We're all
folks.
learning together. So are you looking for like something that holds onto a spell that you can release? Is that it?
Sure.
Well, alright. I don't have clairvoyance. Unfortunately.
Well, shit.
Well, no. I mean, I can perhaps imbibe a charm for you. It could take me a couple days, but I've got here magic. I've got one that'll release magic missile. I've got another charm here that has a healing property to it. That one's a little expensive, though. I've been waiting to sell that for about 6 months. Is there anything else in particular you're looking for? Asks the GM, who needs clarification, or else I'll just give you a damn spell.
Well, aside from the clairvoyance charm, do you have any other protection charms?
Well, yes. And he brings out what looks like a small snail shell on a chain, and there is what looks like a tiny blue crystal or gem that's kind of set into the middle of the spiral of the shell. And he says, "This'll grant you a +1 to your ace to your protection, and give you an ability to kind of fend off damage and things of that nature. A little pricey though. This one runs here 750 gold.
Oh my goodness.
That's quite a powerful enchantment on that one.
How much would the clairvoyance spell set me back?
That one's a little cheaper. I can have that ready for you in a few days, but I'll let's see. You look like someone of the arts. I'll give
And
you.
I whisper in Druidic. I've dabbled in the ways of natural magics.
And he just kind of nods like someone who's speaking Chinese to you, but you don't want to seem rude. He's like, right. And he says, 75 gold for the clairvoyance charm. It's not going to last forever, mind you. Eventually it'll wear out and become kind of inert, but it'll give you quite a bit of the use of that spell for a while.
How long do you think it'll last?
Well, if you give it a rest in between, say maybe a day or so at least, probably get a good 25-30 uses out of it.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Can I put you down for an order, or do you want to pay for it when you pick it up?
I can pay for it now.
All right, that'll be 75 gold. And as he goes to reach for the gold, you notice that he doesn't reach with fingers. He just kind of has that cloaked hand, and again you see this yellow glow kind of light up the inside of his sleeve, and the gold just sort of floats from your hand to a kind of a drawer at the back of his desk. and you see him kind of telekinetically move a quill to a piece of parchment and just start auto-writing your order. He's like,
Okay.
If you give me, I'll tell you what, 2 days. I can guarantee it 2 days.
Perfect. I put a platinum down on the table.
All right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Will there be anything else for any of your friends?
I can't speak for them, but I'll let them come in here. And I back out of the tent.
All right. Hey, Barry, why don't you go in next?
I will. I will step into the tent. Good day, sir.
Good day to you, sir.
And you see him just sort of drifting, and this individual in this black cloak that's completely covering his body. He doesn't seem to have shoulders. His head just kind of droops down and this great round shape with his arms just sort of very lazily kind of wafting in and out. And he kind of settles into a chair at the back of the shop that you can see.
It's
What
not
can I do for you?
It's not 3 kobolds in a cloak, is it?
Make a perception check.
Oh, it's 3 goblins in a cloak.
Ah, there we go. Perception. Nope, I don't see it.
Can't really tell.
It's
It
a
seems
celestial.
pretty well. Whoever it is, it seems like a pretty well put together person. Just
It's a celestial.
oddly shaped.
Yes, sir. I was across the way over at Bertram's looking for an item, and he suggested I come to you to look for said item.
Oh, really? I'm surprised he sent you my way. You know, that guy owes me 20 gold from the last time that he came in here.
I suspected something of the sort.
Well, what are you looking for? Maybe I got it.
I was looking for some kind of druidic talisman, if you might have it. Something that incorporates like a feathers, fur, bones, teeth of a sacred animal, a magic stone, something of that sort.
A druidic talent. Well, what are you trying to accomplish with it? I might have it. I might have to make it.
Just something that I can, when I'm casting spells, I can use to focus my spellcasting through.
Oh, you just looking for a focus?
Yes.
Oh, well, yeah, I've got plenty of them. What is there any kind of look you're going for? I've got a dead rat with a bird skull. I've got a kind of a twisted bunch of sticks with feathers and such shoved through it. I've got over here I've got a crystal that's got kind of nails kind of stuck into it, and each of those nails kind of does something a little differently. That one's a little expensive, but
the stick one will work.
yeah, he brings to you what looks like a roll of quarters sized bundle of very small sticks. They almost look like they're made of cinnamon, kind of those like rolled up cinnamon things, whatever that is made of. And they're kind of wrapped up with twine, and they've got white and black feathers interspersed with them, and they've also got coming out of each end what looks like a sprig of red small little berries. And it's attached. It's all attached to what looks like kind of like a wristband or an armband, something you could strap to your arm or your leg if you're so inclined. Because this here will allow you to focus. You gotta spend some time with it, or else it's not going to respond to you. But yeah, this will kind of get you what you're looking for, and you can have that one for 40 gold.
Easy enough.
Again, he kind of drifts his cloaked arm over to you, and a yellow glow from the inside lifts the coin out of your hand and drops it into a drawer, and he goes, well, this has been quite a day. I may close early. Anything else for you guys today? I really appreciate the business.
I will step into the tent. Anyone else want to go in? Maven, I thought you were looking for some incense, correct?
I just want some basic incense for, like, cleansing a space before I pray.
You might have it.
I am
So,
very
yeah,
dejected
he's
today.
got all manner of incense. It really depends on how much you want.
Just a little bit, just enough to last for a few weeks.
A few weeks. All right. Okay, so you can get a stick of incense, which is essentially kind of like a sprig, about a foot tall, with this kind of dusty yellow shriveled plant material that's kind of like someone cut a stalk and then dried it out and maybe applied some spice to it or of some kind. You can get a stick of that for 1 silver, or you can get a bundle of it for a gold.
I'll take a bundle.
Okay. The bundle's about the size of a loaf of bread.
Okay.
And,
Works out.
yeah. He kind of gives it to you. He's like, I'd be a little careful with that. Put too much pressure, stuff it in with a bunch of other stuff, and it's liable to just turn into dust. Unless that's what you're looking for, it's easily turned into kind of a powder if that's what you want. And it'll burn real low and smells real sweet.
Oh, thank you very much. I'll keep that in mind.
Okay, I'll make my way in.
Okay.
I'm just looking to see if you have any types of enchanted rings.
Enchanted rings. Well, as a matter of fact, I do. And he kind of drifts over to one side of the tent, and he brings over what looks like a small tray. And on the tray are a collection of silver, gold, rose gold, what looks like maybe black iron, rings, bracelets, bangles, anklets. Looks like something, what looks like maybe a knuckle duster, but it's like a multi-finger ring with a large black jewel encrusted on the top of it. He says, now these are pretty expensive, but I guarantee they're quality. These are kind of my specialty, you see, is enchanting objects.
Oh, perfect.
And
Wow.
he kind of wafts his hand over one of them, and you see this small silver ring with what looks like 2 snake heads wrapped around a pure white pearl. And he says, now this one's for the poisoner of your group. All you got to do is wave this over any weapon, and that weapon is considered poison for a good few rounds of combat. And this one, and he kind of lets that one drift down, and he picks up another one that looks like it almost looks like a red jewel had been dropped into a puddle of pewter, because there's like a splash pattern all around the red jewel, and it's kind of a pewter colored metal. This one here will summon a great stone from the sky, and it'll attack one of your enemies. It's actually quite powerful. I almost don't want to give it away, but if you can afford it, it's yours. And
Well-
this one's really cool. And he kind of takes another one, and it looks like, and he's just kind of going through these rings. And there's one that looks like it's got like a blue jewel with a grasping hand around half of it. There's another one that has like 5 of these little tiny diamonds surrounding a green emerald. It's just kind of a plethora of interesting looking rings and bracelets and such.
Nice. Well, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to afford anything you have here right now, but I'm wondering if you have, well, outside of game, it's called the Ring of Free Action. Would you have one of those?
Hold, please. Let me read it. Oh, cool. So he grabs, he kind of like, he's listening to what you're saying, and as he's listening, now that you're in this room, I know you've got a high passive perception, but I want you to make a perception check anyway. as you're kind of looking at him as he's speaking, and you're definitely picking up that his voice is coming from like his chest region instead of his mouth, where his mouth would be. Kind of looking, and his hood is very deep. It's small. His head looks like that of a baby, maybe even smaller, like a baby gnome. He has a very, very tiny head. And as you kind of leer into as he's speaking to you, you notice that there's like a very, very, very faint glare over his face, almost like it's smooth and glass-like and sphere-like. And he kind of says, well, I don't have that particular ring enchanted. And he notices you kind of like looking at him real close, and he kind of instinctually backs up about 2 feet. And he says, but I can certainly make one for you. It's going to take me some time, and it's a little more costly, but if that's what you're looking for, I can certainly work on it for you.
Well, before I get any type of order in, how much would that possibly cost?
Well, that's kind of it's not as intensive an enchantment as, say, like a fireball spell or anything like that. So I'd say I could probably make it for you for 2,500 gold.
Oof. Well, it's definitely something I would come back for. I don't bother commissioning it yet. I don't have my money on me or with me right now. The other thing I was wondering is if you also have a cloak of displacement here.
Unfortunately, displacer beasts are not as common as they once were. They've sort of been hunted almost to extinction. I did have one. I did have one about a month ago, but it got purchased, and haven't seen the fella since. Otherwise, I might send you to him. Tall fella, green hair, kind of scaly skin, humanoid, but might have a little dragonborn in his blood somewhere.
Well, I've seen 2 in Brackenshire.
Oh, did you? Well, it's quite a sight. I'd kind of like to see that.
Well, maybe another time. So hold off on the ring. I'll place an order as soon as I can. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Sorry I couldn't help you. And as you go to turn away, you get one last look, and you notice that when he's talking, there's no movement of anything inside of his hood.
Is there any possible way for me to determine what he is? What race or manner of creature?
Make a Arcana check at disadvantage. I mean, he's perplexing. He, it, they. You're not. I mean, you heard a male gruff voice emit from their chest, but it's just an odd arrangement of physical features that you just can't seem to figure out what you're looking at or talking to. But you get the feeling that he's definitely talented in his craft, and whatever it is that you wanted to purchase from him would probably be top-notch.
Cool. Okay. Anybody else?
Yeah, me.
Who gets to turn in the tent?
Yeah, I'll come in.
Step right up. Don't be shy. Everyone's a winner.
Until they're not.
Move it!
Yeah, for real. All right, so I look in. Well met, sir. Mr. Fodel?
That's my name.
What can I call you, good Sir Scale a lot?
Heck. I go by Sazaros.
Sazros, it's pretty nice to meet you. What can I do for you?
There, I reach out my hand to shake his hand.
He says, he kind of recoils a little. He goes, bit of a germaphobe. I don't typically touch people. Don't take any offense. You look perfectly fine, gentlemen. It's just not my way. And he sort of backs up a little tiny bit.
Okay. All right. I'm looking for things to help increase defense.
Well, how about a ring of protection?
That sounds quite lovely. How much for the ring of protection?
Well, I was just showing your friend, the tall gentleman in the armor there, my collection of enchanted rings and bracelets, and he kind of whops his hand over and in a telekinetic way brings what looks like a very simple silver chain that's sort of interspersed with little blue gems. And and he says, I can add some links to maybe make this fit you, as I think it's made for someone a little smaller of frame, but that wouldn't be an issue, and it wouldn't affect the enchantment. This would give you a little bit of extra protection on certain types of damage, and mostly bludgeoning and piercing and slashing, something with a weapon that's been thrust at you. Doesn't really do a whole lot against magical attacks, unfortunately. But this one would give you a little extra protection in the melee combat kind of field. If you like to get up close and personal and you don't really want to take as much damage as you could before. And and this one's about 1,500 gold for this one, but it gives a pretty decent amount of protection.
All right. Let's see. And do you have any musical instruments? Any enchanted instruments?
Enchanted instruments. I actually do. I have one item here. Do you play the piccolo by any chance?
Let's see. If it's funny, actually, no, because of the way my jaw is shaped. I can't work a flute very well like other warm bloods do.
Oh, well, that's a shame, because this one spits fire out of the end of it. Watch this! And you see him kind of raise the piccolo, and it's very small. It's about 4 inches long. It's got little holes. It's made of silver, and he kind of raises it telekinetically in the air, and you, with his other arm, you see kind of a green glow, and a rush of air moves past it in like a pinpoint kind of pencil width right into the piccolo, and you see the end of it just erupt with this really quick gout of flame. Just like whoosh.
Okay.
And he just sort of lets it settle down in front of him.
Now, when he held it up to what would be his face, right?
No, he just kind of like telekinetically held it in the air, and with his other hand, you saw him produce like a really quick burst of air through it.
Okay.
And that hand glowed green, or
Gotcha.
whatever was in his hand, because you didn't see a hand, you just saw it was all shrouded in this cloak that he's wearing.
Gotcha.
And at this moment, as you're talking to him, you are very tall, Sazaros. You're like 7 foot, something like that.
The 6.5. Yeah.
You notice that he has sort of drifted up to sort of meet your height. And his cloak is still covering his lower section all the way to the floor. But he seemingly has grown or come up to meet you in some way.
Okay. I must compliment you on your tailor. This cloak, where did you get it?
Oh, this old rag? I kind of made it myself. It keeps the sun off my back, if you know what I mean.
I do. Well, good, nice work. May I touch the fabric?
Germaphobe and all kind of pertains to my clothing, and you're noticing that he's growing ever more uncomfortable with every question of yours that has to do with his physicality.
Okay. All right. Well, sir, I thank you very much for allowing me to peruse your wares, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
I hope you have a good rest of your day, and come back, because these items will probably be here. I don't do a ton of business on a daily basis, but when I do, it sort of keeps me going throughout the week or the month. So chances are this stuff might be here later on in the week if you come across any coin.
All right, will do. All right, and I exit the tent.
Alrighty.
Did you
Anybody
want
else?
to go in, or are you done?
I think that's all of us.
Did Yuno go in? Did he want to go in?
No, Yuno's good.
Okay.
No like shopping.
No, it's just Yuno doesn't think this is the type of place that's going to have the level of a magic that he would kind of want. Like, it has the vibe of not the super rare, arcana that Yuno kind of craves. Yuno's a little bit of a magic snob, go figure, given what his job is. Just a little bit. Like this guy doesn't have like a staff of power or like a rod of the archmagi or anything. Like that's the stuff Yuno's going after.
Okay. Well,
Yuno's fancy.
Mr. Fancy Pants.
Fancy schmancy.
All right. Well, guys, has it been about enough time for my new outfit to be ready? Or still
Nope.
got plenty of time?
No, it's only been about a half hour.
Oh, okay. What do you say we gotta hit up the captain of the watch? How I'd mentioned previously.
Yeah, sounds like a plan. Let's go.
So, as we're walking back up the street, just find a shopkeeper to see where we could go to find a guard post or see if we could locate where the captain of the watch may be.
So, it takes you... Well, go ahead and make a persuasion check, first of all. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're able to kind of flag down one of the black guard that patrol these streets here, and just being as polite as possible and respectful, given the history you have with the black guard, you kind of give him a gentle nod and a good day, sir, and ask him where to find the captain of the watch, and without really giving you too much in the way of an answer, he just kind of turns his head and points up the road, kind of the way you were going, and you can kind of see what looks like a white stone spiraling tower that's sort of surrounded by what are they called? I'm losing the word here. Surrounded by kind of like smaller towers around it, and it looks like it's designed to be able to see throughout the entire over the entire city. It's not the tallest structure in the city. That would be obviously the castle set up on the hill in the middle of the city, but it's definitely tall enough to be able to see over most of the structures around, and it's about maybe a quarter mile away.
Okay, much obliged. Thank you very much.
Sure thing. And he just continues his walk.
Alrighty. Trudge, 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 trudge.
Yeah, as you're walking along, you kind of are sort of listening in as you eavesdropping here and there. You're a very people-watching kind of a person. You're a bard. You like to know what's going on in the common rabble, and you keep hearing people talk about the Ellington Classic. Are you going? Are you going to be there? Or what are you going to bring with you? The Ellington Classic. The Ellington Classic. You don't know what this is. You just keep hearing. I wouldn't say you keep hearing. It's not like everybody, but you hear maybe 2 or 3 conversations on your way to the tower. The Ellington Classic.
Okay. And
as
also,
you approach, sure.
Just out of curiosity, in our travels, we haven't seen any wanted posters up, have we?
Make a perception check.
11.
Nope.
Okay.
You're busy just kind of, you're busy looking for what you're looking for. You're not really looking around. Yeah. So you get to the front gate, and it's a large white gate. It almost looks like iron that's been coated in some kind of a material to give it a white sheen. That's kind of the way a lot of the buildings city of Dainne are is they have kind of a look to them that would look like a kind of powder coated, if you will, where they've been given this kind of iridescent, glistening sheen that looks beautiful in the daylight, almost like a glittering white sand beach look all over the city. And that this building is no exception. It's flanked by 4 black guard, but there are also 2 guards in this brilliant silver armor that looks absolutely nothing like the black guard. They're all carrying spears, except for the 2 silvered armored folks. They have great swords on their back, and their helmet, their helmets don't match. As a matter of fact, their armor doesn't match. They look like differently armored individuals. They've got tunics with different crests on the chest, neither of which looks like the Imperial crest. And they're just kind of standing there and in some sort of support fashion to the other black guard. And one of the guards just kind of walks up. Yes, well, what's your business with the city watch?
Oh, good day. We have come to file a missing persons report, as well as to try to get some information on a family here in town for my friend.
I take off my helmet and introduce myself as, hello, my name is Axon Woodman Bloom. How are you?
I'm very well. You're looking for someone?
Yes, our friend Atgierr.
Atgierr. And how long has he been missing?
Since last night, so not long.
Well, people go missing commonly. Sometimes they return, sometimes they don't, sometimes they're murdered, sometimes they run away or just leave town. Wait here, 1 second. And he just kind of disappears into a side door to the right of the gate, and you can see that there are stairs on the inside of this building that goes straight up. And he comes back about 5 minutes later, and in the meantime, you can see that the Black Guard have kind of a much more gruff kind of demeanor. They kind of regard all of you. The fact that there's so many, they just sort of nonchalantly surround half of your group kind of on one side, while the other 2 silver armored guys are just kind of like keeping an eye on everything, even the Black Guard. They're much taller too, by at least 6 or 7 inches than the Black Guard are. And you can see them kind of give you, the few times that you all make eye contact with these guys in the back, they just kind of give you a respectful nod and kind of keep their watch. And the Black Guard arrives again. I don't have any reports of any Atgierr. Do you have a description or where he last was seen?
And we give him that information.
A dwarf. Might want to check back later on tonight. Perhaps someone's seen him, or I mean, you'll have better luck figuring out what happened to him the more time goes on. If it's just from last night, I mean, he could be in a brothel or a bathhouse somewhere, and I just don't know what to tell you.
Well, look, all likely scenarios. Can you help my friend here out as far as finding any of the Bloom family, or who may be hiring anyone of the Bloom family?
Blooms, they're mercenaries or something, right?
That is what we've been told.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know any of them personally. I hear they're a bunch of assholes, but I guess they're based out in Margalit. That's where the Bloom family is kind of operating out of. That's all I know. I mean, you could ask the captain, but I don't know if he's going to spend time talking to you about the Bloom family, unless it has to do with official Imperial business. You want me to go get him?
Nah, that's fine.
And you said they're
All right.
based out of Marguerite, you said?
Yeah, it's just west of Dainne, a few days' journey.
Thank you. Oh, and one other question. We have been hearing, you must forgive us, obviously we're new in town. We've been hearing a lot of people talk about something called the Ellington Classic. Can you let us know what this is?
Well, you really aren't from around here, are you?
What gave it away?
At this point, you kind of perk up, and you know exactly what this is. There's no two ways about it. You are an Imperial. You have heard stories of the Danish, or not Danish, the Tournament of Champions of Dainne, known as the Ellington Classic. What'd you say?
I said, sounds yummy.
Yeah.
Danish.
It is one of the most prestigious tournaments in Valandiir. People come from all over the world to compete in the Ellington Classic. It's so named for an ancient knight of the Second Age that first started the Ellington Classic. It is a week-long event, and it's typically a week long. It has gone on for 3 or 4 weeks before. But it has jousting, it has sword fighting, archery, group battles, it has gladiatorial arena fighting, it has battle royale where every man for himself. It is an amazing, amazing tournament. It also has kind of like it's got kind of a Renaissance fair feel to it, where it has stalls of vendors that come from all over the world to sell their rare and exotic wares, and it's just it's an event that everybody in the local area flocks to go to. But tickets are always very hard to come by, especially for the common folk.
Is this something that we'd be interested in, like, participating in, if possible?
Sounds interesting to me. Sounds like a
Always.
great place for me to put up a stall and sing for the locals and get some money.
I'm always up to doing some archery.
I wouldn't mind, testing my hand at some battle and whatnot.
All right.
Sounds fun.
Okay. Well, I thank the guard for his information, and we go on our way.
And while you go on your way, we're going to take a 15-minute break, folks.
Cool.
So we will be back here at 4:40 Eastern Standard Time to continue this day's journey through Dainne. So let's see here. Yeah, we'll see you in a bit, folks.
All right. And break.
All right. Do we have everybody back?
I'm back.
Never really left.
I am back. Steph says, yeah.
Ba-dang! All right, well, getting back into it. Wonderful meme, by the way. I love that movie. That is one of the most underrated Mel Brooks movies of all time.
Oh, it's one of my favorites.
I love that.
That was my gut reaction when you said archery contest. I'm like,
Yeah, Robin Hood Men in Tights is awesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like when him and Little John are fighting with sticks and they keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller.
yeah. You heard History of the World Part 2 is finally in the making.
Oh my gosh, are you kidding?
I did. Yeah, it's going to be a Hulu series.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. You think he's going to be directly involved? He's pretty old.
Yeah, as far as I know, it was his thing, yeah, his idea.
Oh, that's awesome. I love Mel Brooks.
Oh, yes.
Little kept secret around here. He's one of my favorite media personalities of all time. I just love his attitude.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a great sense of humor.
Yeah, a lot of his movies probably wouldn't fly in today's society, but...
No.
Oh, no, you couldn't make Blazing Saddles today.
Oh, no.
No, you can't.
Blazing Saddles was a satire.
Yeah, even though they're making fun of racism in that movie, you still, like, the reactionary nature of the public, they just would... The first N-word that got let go, they'd be like, oh, that's it, cancel everything.
Yes.
Cancel Mel Brooks.
Can't cancel Mel Brooks. He's
No,
a
you can't.
national treasure.
Yeah.
Anyway,
So as you all step out of the tent, seemingly pleased with your purchases or inquiries, it is about, I'd say, maybe 3 o'clock in the afternoon at this point. Still not quite ready for your outfit to be finished, Sazaros, but what would you all like to do?
What do you say we pay a belated visit to Sir Hargorve? Extend our apologies for missing yesterday.
Yeah, that sounds fine to me.
We could say we were looking for our dwarf friend who went missing, which is not a lie.
Would you say,
Not
Maven?
really a lie. I was just gonna say I'm interested in meeting this guy. So.
Fair enough. So, you will remember. Let's see. Everybody but Maven will. Actually, that's not true. I think pretty much everybody was involved in helping Sir Thorston repair his wheel, or at least were present. So I'll say everybody but Maven would remember him mentioning that his house is what's called the boundary estate of House Hargorve. And if I could just get a either 2 separate persuasion checks or one with advantage, because you don't exactly know where that is, but you at least know what you're looking for, so it'd be easier for you to ask around.
There you go.
There you go. The face man speaketh. Yeah, it doesn't take much. You kind of pass by what looks like a wealthy merchant, perhaps somebody that the elite of Dainne would frequent, and you ask for directions to the boundary estate of House Hargorve, and without any question whatsoever, he just kind of directs you the side streets to get to the upper crusty part of town. This, mind you, Dainne is not split up into sectors or districts, kind of the way Brackenshire was. Brackenshire was much more of an industrial, military-minded city, and it was planned with a industrial, military mind. Dainne is much more spread out and kind of mixed in. There is kind of a poorer section of Dainne in the southern region, but for the most part, you've got wealthy elite mansions that surround the central spire hill that the castle sits on. But there's, residential shops and taverns and things intermixed. It's nothing. There's no gated communities here. You don't require a seal to get from one part of the city to the other. There's a much more of a brotherly and sisterly feel to Dainne, where everyone is welcome, as long as you keep to yourself in most respects and don't cause trouble. You're not really. Nobody is. You don't get the sense that anybody's kind of sequestered from any particular part of the city, and you find your way to the boundary estate, which is so named in that it borders the castle wall. The castle itself is walled off. There is a rather large gate that leads up to a spiraling road that goes up the hill leading to it, and the Hargorve estate is one of the boundary estates that kind of hugs the back wall up against the castle. So let me show you what the building looks like that you approach. It looks like this. Much bluer sky, but you get the idea. It's covered in ivy. It's got 2 large square towers on either side of a centralized building. And it doesn't look like a particularly large mansion per se, but it is a giant big house. And it's got a couple guards flanking the gated entrance at the front. There are rose bushes and fruit-bearing trees that kind of line the sides of this building. the property itself is not really big. He doesn't have like a sprawling yard that goes for several acres. He looks like he's got maybe a couple acres at his disposal. It looks like to be kind of a side sitting area garden with kind of a small fountain that's bubbling water up across it, and there's several seating, metal wrought iron seating chairs nestled around it. And there's a couple what looks like groundskeepers kind of tending to the bushes and to the lawn. And the grass itself isn't like closely trimmed, but they do figure out a way to kind of keep it from getting out of control. And as you approach the gate, you see one of the guards is dressed in colors that were very similar to what Sir Thorston Hargorve was wearing when you met him on the road. Kind of a red and gold and purple coloration with a crest on its chest that looks like a lion clutching two spears in its mouth, and a flag in one hand, and a bale or a sprig of wheat in the other. And he just kind of sees you all approaching about 30 feet away. You're about 10 or 12 feet off the road, and he just kind of approaches you very, very slowly. He's got his hand on his sword. He is a guard, but he doesn't look threatening. And he just sort of stands stock still about 20 feet away from you and just waits. Doesn't say anything.
Okay. As we approach within about 9 or 10 feet, I'll stop and I'll say, "Hello, well met."
Well met to you.
We are here to pay a visit to Sir Hargorve. If there is a messenger or somebody that could go in and tell him that Sazaros and the Crown Collectors are here to pay their respects.
Sazaros and the Crown Collectors. One moment, please. And you see him turn, and he doesn't get somebody to pay your message, but there is a device implanted in the post that on either side of the entrance gate. It kind of looks like that device that you saw in Brackenshire, the Black Guard were using to communicate. It's a little blue gem encased in a copper wire mesh cage, and it's actually affixed to the side of the post itself. And he just sort of touches a small pad beneath it. Looks like almost like a flat silver coin. Kind of touches it with his finger. The blue gem glows briefly for a moment, and you can hear him whispering into it pretty much what you asked. And a moment later, you see it glow again, and you kind of see his eyes glow a little from the inside as if he's receiving a message. And he just sort of releases his grip off of his sword. He kind of his whole body language kind of relaxes a little, and he just sort of turns to you all, and he turns to the other guard and gives him a nod. Pulls aside the lock on the gate, swings it open, and says, "Sir Thorston Hargorve is expecting you. Please proceed inside and present yourself to his major domo."
Thank you very much. Mosey all ragtag.
For those of you who don't, does anyone know what a major domo is, by the way?
Nope.
No.
Think Zazu. Think Zazu in The Lion King.
Cool.
Yeah, he's kind of the guy who runs the house. He's kind of like the main butler. That's what a major domo is. And as your rather large group files into the entrance of this estate's property line, you notice the entrance has what looks like a large, wide archway set into the face of the building, where the main door is affixed to it. And there's all this intricate white filigreed wrought iron work along this arch. And as you kind of look, you notice that there are little cherubs and griffins and eagles and vines that sort of just move ever so slowly. Not in a slow motion kind of way, but in a lazy, gentle, kind of animated movement that just kind of draws your attention for a brief moment before you see what looks to be a not elderly, but maybe in his 60s, very thin of frame human with a long, sunken-eyed face, wearing something of a scowl, but looks like resting bitch face, just kind of how he looks all the time. He's got his balding gray hair is pulled into a very tight ponytail at the back of his head. It's wrapped in what looks like a black silk bow. He's wearing vestments, very colonial-like. He doesn't have any shoulder epaulets or anything, but he's got kind of a tailcoat with a bow tie and very smart-looking trousers that cinch at the knees and descend into stockings to the foot with very, very nice black buckled shoes. And he's got one arm in front of him with what looks like some kind of a towel or some kind of fabric laying over his arm, and he just kind of steps out from the open door and says, "Greetings. These are the crown collectors. I am Dalkin Whitfield. I am the majordomo of House Hargorve. And what, pray tell, is the business you wish to discuss with the owners of the house?"
Sorry. We are just coming at his invitation for hospitality and conversation.
Right. Right this way. And he just kind of has like a "you interrupted my day" kind of a look. And he invites you inside. And inside is a rather splendid and beautifully decorated, kind of a medieval, Renaissance kind of Henry VIII kind of era decorative. There's reds and browns all over the walls as far as coloration. Very dark woods. There's a large crystal chandelier hanging above your head that appears to be lit from many different points on the inside of it. Nothing like you've ever seen before. There are several portraits against the walls of noble men and women, as well as one extremely attractive couple with a young son. And just because it's a really great picture and I love it so much, I'll post it again. And you see, I gotta dig quite a ways to find it, I'm sure. But yeah, inside this house, it's not like I said, it's not a huge mansion, but it is a luxurious villa of sorts. And yeah, it's a nice house. And he just kind of looks at you all and asks you to wait here. I'll go fetch the master. And he kind of, you can hear his hard footsteps. He's wearing what looks like at least half-inch or inch lifted shoes, and they just kind of knock on the floor as he tiptoes away. Let's see. Yeah, you guys are just kind of waiting for a moment.
Well, let's just take a look around the house too and see if, if there's anything interesting around.
And I just mutter quietly, if Atgierr was here, he'd be robbing them blind. He would be trying to figure out a way to get those portraits in his pocket.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to grab it from where it was. Up here. Yeah, why don't everybody, this is a very, very nice house. Why don't you guys give me a perception check? Just to keep things fun. Here we go.
Ooh.
Here's what you see on the wall. Except they're looking at you. Absolutely gorgeous couple.
Yep.
And Steph, that is exactly who I was thinking of when I came up with this guy. Just very, very elitist, but still a subservient member of housing staff.
As soon as you described him, I'm like, What Disney movie is that? Little Mermaid.
Mhm.
It's that guy from the thing.
Yeah. I was thinking either that or the creepy dude from Beauty and the Beast when they're talking about locking up her dad.
Yeah, he was sinister.
Oh yeah, that guy. That
But
guy's
I thought,
awful.
maybe a little less Crypt Keeper and a little more Ichabod Crane.
Like it.
And a few moments later, you hear a familiar voice to everyone but Maven. Starzeros, you silver-scaled devil! You finally made it! And as you all turn to meet this voice, who is flanked by Dalkin, you see a young man, not so young, perhaps in his early 30s. He's so dressed in his noble attire, pretty similar to what you saw, but you imagine he probably has more than one set of raiments. And he's just kind of got his hands out in greeting, and walks right up to Sazros and kind of claps his arms around him as best he can. Sazros has him by about a foot, and he just kind of looks at all of you. It's so well to see you all. I was wondering what might have happened to you. Please come in, come in. Dalkin, please take their things and set the table. Let us have lunch and converse in this wonderful day. Please come in. And he as you kind of all filter in and removing what items of clothing you kind of wish. Dalkin kind of walks over to Axon and he's like, will the master be dining in his armor, or would you prefer a jacket?
I'll take a jacket.
Very well, and he kind of claps his hands up next to his head, and you see about 3 or 4 young people, one woman, 2 men, all of them very small, very demure, and they just sort of kind of guide you into a side chamber with what appears to be like a coat room of some kind. And, they very politely and gently ask, will the master prefer us to remove the armor for him?
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Yeah, and they take about 10 minutes kind of unstrapping the buckles and straps, and they get you into a very plain, kind of a black cloak that kind of fits over your undergarment clothing, and it looks very nice. It's not too flashy. The rest of you are guided into a dining room, and you can see what looks like a roast pig is being laid out on the table. It seems that these people kind of are getting ready for dinner, and it's a little early yet, but your stomachs are kind of rumbling. You haven't had anything to eat since breakfast, and the roast pig is looking absolutely delicious. And they're bringing out plates of vegetables and pitchers of wine, and as you kind of pick your spots in the table to sit, as Sir Thorston is just kind of showing you around the room and pointing out interesting artifacts and paintings and tapestries and things like that, you hear a douche, douche, douche. And Dalkin just kind of spins on his heels and looks at Sir Thorston. He's like, it appears we have company, sir. And you hear, I'm going to try to yell so I don't blow out my speaker. Where's my fucking brother? Get him down here at once. And you hear Sir Thorston just go, he's here. And the housing staff just sort of erupts into movement, preparing for whoever this is. And you see Thorston, Sir Thorston just kind of claps you all on the back. He's like, sit, I'll bring him in. It's my brother. And you hear in the distance, Luther, you devil, get your ass in here. Where have you been? And you hear them just kind of carousing at the front of the room. And shortly after he disappears into the front of the house, you see Sir Thorston's wife descend a set of stairs, and she's got a little bit of a baby bump, as you guys would remember from before, and she just sort of gives everyone a nod. Hello, wonderful to see you all again.
Likewise, wonderful to see you as well.
I don't believe I've been properly introduced. I am Penelope Hargorve, wife and lover of Sir Thorston, as I'm sure you could all guess. Please make yourselves comfortable. We'll be serving dinner soon. And you see a little blonde, curly-haired boy sort of following behind, holding on to the edge of her dress with one hand and kind of sucking on a couple of his fingers with the other. And in walks Sir Thorston with a much taller man behind him, who looks very similar to Thorston in the face, albeit much more muscular and much more of like a broad nose, and he looks like this guy. Bink. There we go. He is broad-chested and short hair on top, but very similar in features to his brother. And you see Sir Thorston just kind of eclipsed by this tall man, bringing him in on his side. Everyone, this is my brother, Sir Luther Hargrove. He's here from his escapades to the west and decided to spring himself on us for dinner. Please, everyone sit. Let us commence. And you see Sir Luther just kind of eye you all. Well, House Hargrove is expecting quite a bit of company today. Who are all of you? Give me your names, quickly now. And he sort of settles himself down in a chair next to Sazaros. You, Silver Scale, what's your name?
Ah, sir, my name is Sazaros.
Sazaros, wonderful to meet you. You, wizard, you look like a wizard. What's your name? Yeah, he's looking at Yuno. And Yuno is muted.
So we'll assume he says,
Of House Cerulean.
Ha. House Cerulean, wonderful. Wonderful. I think I saw your uncle last week on my travels. Yes, I'll have to tell him that I saw you and said hello. How about you, large blue creature with fur on your face? What do they call you?
I go by Koza.
Koza, wonderful to meet you. You, half-elf, what's your name? And that pretty little blonde elf next to you, who is she?
I am Baronor Skyshade.
I'm Maven.
Maven, wonderful. And you? By the heavens. And he looks right at Axton. I didn't expect to see you, Gormir. What are you doing this far east? I thought you were at your headquarters. As a matter of fact, I just saw you before I left.
Sorry about that, but you have me confused with someone else. I'm actually, my name is Axton Woodman Bloom, and it's possible that you're speaking about one of my relatives.
Axton Woodman Bloom. I dare say I met everyone in the Bloom family, I believe. Are you a distant relative?
I think I'm from...
In time, maybe.
Yeah, probably distant. They might have been, like, my great-grandchildren. I've been frozen for a few hundred years.
Frozen for a few hundred years. Brother, where do you find such entertaining sort? You do make me laugh.
Oh, it's true.
So, you guys kind of converse for a few minutes while they bring out the rest of the meal, and the meal is going quite well. Sir Luther talks of his escapades out west. He's a knight for the Duke, just like Sir Thorston is. He's a little more higher in stature. He takes on a little more of the dangerous missions, and you all regale him with your tales and why you call yourselves the Crown Collectors. At which point he kind of perks up and makes mention of something that catches your attention. So, adventurers. Looking for a little coin in your pocket. Isn't that right?
Always.
Have you thought about competing at the Ellington Classic?
I'm very interested in that.
The thought just
Well, I
occurred to us.
Well, with Sir Thorston's endorsement, and perhaps mine, if things go one way or another, you're sure to get tickets to get inside, and at a great discount, considering you'd be competing. Any idea on what sort of events you'd like to compete in?
I'm not even sure what type of events there are.
If they have poetry and song competition, I'm there.
There is a spoken word. You'd be great. There are plenty of bards that come from all over the realm to compete to win the Golden Heart of Her Majesty, as it's called. It's merely a trophy, but it's meant to represent the heart of the Queen of the Empire herself. I myself have seen many men fall before its glory, but few walk away with the prize itself, as not every year does someone win the heart of the Queen. As for the other events, there's your typical fare in any tournament. You've got your jousting tournament, there is a magical attacking type contest which I don't partake in myself, but it seems one or two of you might be interested in that sort of fare. There's sword fighting, archery, there's a chariot race, there's a gladiatorial arena, there's group battles, there's simply dozens of different competitions. That's why they call it the Ellington Classic. It takes place over many days, sometimes many weeks, for all of the events to complete themselves. I highly urge you all to look into it. You seem the sort that would just fit in well there.
Well, with such a rousing description, how could we refuse?
On a more personal subject, I must say, capable as I like to present myself to be, I find myself split in two in this particular endeavor. If I may be so indulgent to explain to you my situation, you might find it to be a lucrative opportunity. You see, my betrothed belongs to a rival house. The house of Showalter, and my betrothed, Kethra, is the crown daughter of that family. Her and I have been dancing around the tension in the air for years. I believe I have what it takes to win her hand, but her father is something of a bit more stubborn sort to impress. It would take a considerable gesture on my part, and while I have one in mind, I simply don't have the time. I was hoping to present to her a trophy at the tournament, and hopefully then I could win her hand in marriage. However, I don't have time. My force of knights and I have been ordered by the Duke to investigate an encroaching border tribe of troublesome gnolls that have been attacking caravans and villages on the outskirts of the Dainne borders. But what I really want to do, more than fighting off pesky gnolls, is to slay the shark of the shambling fields. Have any of you heard of it?
No, do tell.
Have we heard anything about this before?
Everybody but Axton, go ahead and make a nature check. Boy, 23.
17.
Fitting for a druid.
I would say when he said shark and fields,
You don't know exactly what he's talking about. You don't know the exact particular creature, because if anybody wants to go to Roll20, I will move everyone to a map of Valandiir. Shambling Fields are way northwest of Dainne, if you can see that. Just southwest of Dunn's Keep. And that's somewhere you've never been, Koza. But when he said shark and fields, you immediately thought of a boulet.
Alright, relay all this to the party.
Yes. A boulet, and for those of you who don't know, a boulet is a land shark. It is a large armored creature with a tapered snout and armor plates all along its head. It has 4 stumpy legs ending in very, very, very short, stubby, knuckled claws that are really good for digging. And it is known to harass caravans and commoners and adventurers that wander these wide open fields. And yeah, that's pretty much all you get out. Yeah, there you go.
That's an ugly son of a bitch.
Yep.
So, since seeing as my duties have me at a bit of a quandary, I really want to take out the land shark of the Shambling Fields, Old Knuckle they call him, and present its trophy to my betrothed Kethra at the tournament of the Ellington Classic. However, I cannot abandon my duties, or the Duke would have my head. I'm sure you could understand. So my proposition is this. Bring me the head of the beast before the tournament. I'll give you 1,400 gold pieces.
Sounds like a plan.
Say you all.
I say this is a nice detour.
I'm down.
Yeah, that sounds great.
You, sir, are on.
Wonderful, splendid. Now, you have to understand, and as he goes to talk, you hear another dum, dum, dum. And they all just kind of crane their head. More guests! Bring them all in, We'll host the whole city at this rate. And at this point, you see kind of a elderly man in his 60s or 70s start to make his way down the stairs. You guys are eating, but right about now is about when dinner usually would be served. So you see this older gentleman who is much more slender than Thorston and definitely Luther, but bears a striking resemblance to these two men. He's dressed in very, very nice raiments of red and gold, and he's kind of leaning on a cane, balding on top, but he's still got kind of a modicum of blonde gray hair. And he just sort of hobbles into the room. Who's at the door? And you see Sir Thorston kind of turn. Father, allow me to introduce you to my guests. These are the crown collectors, Salzaros, Koza, Yuno, Oxton, Maven, Baranor, and my dear, where's your dwarven friend?
You know, we were going to get to that after the soup course.
Found himself a bit lost in the city.
Yes, actually. I think in a little bit of some overindulgent drunken revelry to celebrate his successful return to good health. He seems to have gotten lost.
And I tell you what, I'll put a good word out in my own network of intelligence and see if I can't locate him for you. You seem good sort. You're taking on a momentous task for me. I'll see what I can do. How's that sound?
Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. as he kind of gives you a nod of acceptance and mutual respect. Hold on a minute. Why can't my brain work properly? Oh, that's why. As he's kind of, you guys are just sort of chit-chatting amongst yourselves. You can hear the subtle stomping sounds of heavy boots. Come on. Why doesn't the internet do what I want right away?
Don't you hate it when that happens?
I know. I know. There we go. And the story of my life is, you should have had it ready. Okay. You hear a bit of arguing in the foyer, and his father, which I don't think I introduced him to you, the father's name is Sir Ulysses Hargorve, and he darts away into the foyer to see what's going on, and he begins arguing as well. And what you see is you can hear the clinking and clanking and stomping of heavy footsteps, and a house servant jolts upright and disappears into the foyer as well, and many sets of armored footsteps shake and shuffle down the hardwood floors towards the dining hall. Ulysses and the housing staff come forward, and ahead of these individuals, you see Ulysses. His face is dark, is just gone and white. And Luther, still chewing on a wad of goose meat, frowns and barks at the soldiers that approach the room. What's the meaning of this intrusion? This is outrageous! A dozen or so black-armored men enter and file into the room, posting up behind each of you as you sit, with their hands on their sword pummels. A deep voice, behind a mask or helmet, bellows from behind the line of soldiers just out of view. Peace, Sir Hargorve. We come in peace. At the end of the table, soldiers part ways, and 3 differently armored men slink into view. Those of you who fled Brackenshire would recognize them by their skull-like helmets, and they look like this. Boop.
Awesome.
Oh,
Some
shit.
freaking stocks.
Well,
You got the brown pants spell, you know?
Yep, queued up and ready to go.
2 of them hulking at least a foot over the shoulders of the Blackguard soldiers, while the lead officer, even taller still, they straddle either side of the end chair, and the taller man stands in front, ready to sit. Well, well, well. Look how far you've come. The man looks at Sazaros and Axton. But truly, dining with a prominent imperial family in the 2nd largest city in the realm, when a hefty price lays over your head, where did that bring you? Before me, of course, as it was always meant to. He turns to Yuno. You are Yuno of House Cerulean. I would guess that you need no introduction. But to those of you raised in the wilds and not in civilized Valandiir, and he sits in the chair, kind of grasps a goblet of wine, kind of swills it in his hand, doesn't drink. I am Ifrahim Tolstaag, High Inquisitor of the Onyx Order. And you, while you may call yourselves the Crown Collectors, what you really are fugitives of the Crown. Did you really think you could get away with what you did? Of course you did. They always do. The dungeons of my tower in Haven's Crest are filled with the screams of those foolish enough to try and escape our grasp. But our claws reach beyond the borders of the Empire, and we always find our quarry. Case in point, where is the silver scale known as Ravish?
I'm afraid I know no one of that name, sir.
He kind of looks right at you. And where is the white-haired human? He kind of scans the party and settles on Axton. Ah, yes. You are a bloom, are you not?
Yes, I am.
I should say, a man of your station would have done well to avoid vagrants such as these. But that time has passed. You are all charged with treason, burglarizing the home of the Emperor's cousin, bewitching her soldiers, stealing her property. These crimes are each punishable by death. And since you have roped these poor fools into your transgressions, the headsman would have an entire afternoon filled up executing you all. You can hear the grip around the soldiers' weapons tightening. The air is quiet. Deafeningly quiet.
I challenge each of your accusations, good sir.
The tension builds with each passing moment. Well, fortunately for you, Silver Scale, the Lady Valerie Valzef, the woman you saw fit to rob, is paranoid and distrustful, even of her household staff. She had several scrying stones installed around her residence. They recorded you entering the property. They saw you fiddling with the weak-minded guards. They saw you break into her vault room. But
now,
before all that, before you stumbled and bumbled your way through that escapade, they also captured what transpired before you arrived. I'm sure you noticed a bloodbath inside the house when you entered.
Absolutely.
This was the work of the Sapphire, a guild of vagrants and murderers that once served a purpose to the Empire. The nobility, especially in Brackenshire, loved the vices and trinkets the guilds can provide. But lately, the Sapphire have grown bolder under the leadership of their newly ascended guildmaster, a vicious man named Stedman. The crew you encountered in Brackenshire are part of a splinter group, an offshoot of the Sapphire, known as the Breakers. They are led by a Goliath named Tor, and with his band of rogues, he has finally gone too far with the assault on Lady Valerie's house, murdering her staff and stealing a family heirloom. They have lost what little support the Lodge of Brackenshire can extend to a group of thieves, however useful they once were. Which brings me to you lot. Unless you prefer to experience the full gamut that our executioners have to offer, the Onyx Order is prepared to extend to you a singular opportunity to redeem yourselves
and save your own skins. You call yourselves the Crown Collectors. I have heard rumors of why this is. Bring me the heads of the breakers, all of them. Do this and your records will be wiped clean. Your sullied reputations will be restored to their, he looks at Yuno and Axton, former glory. The Order has also been authorized to gift you a reward of 3,500 gold pieces should you complete this task in 1 month's time. As the Lady Valandiir is impatient for justice. So, do we have a contract, or do you wish to rot in my dungeons until the day of your execution? It matters not to me.
Oh.
It is simply the difference between writing a line under your names or through them. What
Deal.
say you all?
Deal. Deal.
Deal.
Yeah, we had some issues with the breakers, I believe you called them. We were hoping to get back at them again.
We have a score to settle with those folks, too.
You aren't the only ones. Their list of enemies is as long as my arm. And Tolstaag raises a hand, and each of the guards standing behind you produce a long black rod with a glowing hot brand on one end. You eluded the Order's agents once before. I cannot allow the shame of that to transpire again. The soldiers grab you all by the head and press the searing hot metal of the brand into your flesh. The room instantly smells of burnt hair and skin, an awful bouquet. The Hargroves recoil in silent disgust as you clench your teeth and hold back shrieks of pain until finally the guards release you from their grasp. You are now, all of you, marked by the Onyx Order. A brand not only denoting your servitude to the Crown, but this mark also comes with an added incentive to succeed in your task. Should you continue your foolish endeavor to evade our justice and flee into the wilds, your escape will only grant you reprieve from my hand until a month from your deadline. After that, the marks will slowly burn until death takes you to where you belong, a shallow, unmarked grave in the middle of nowhere. Any attempt to dispel or remove my brands will not end well for you. I can assure you of that. Once your mission is successful, the brands will be neutralized. Do not worry. I have full faith in your capabilities. After all, you are the Crown Collectors. Now, I shall leave you in peace, as promised. You would do well to find these breakers and bring their remains to my office in the capital. Just know that many have tried to elude my justice, the Order's justice. And many of them now litter our outer walls, their bones a subtle reminder of the Empire's reach. Good night to you all. And with that, the High Inquisitor Tolstaag stands, flanked by his 2 other agents of the Order, and march out of the dining hall, followed by their dozen or so blackguard soldiers. The Hargroves sit stock still, the house staff white as sheets, and to the Imperial retinue leave out the front door, and the room can breathe once again.
Well, I suppose we should explain that.
Yes, an explanation should be in order.
Yes.
So,
Maven's like Dragon, Onyx Order. Y'all got a lot of dangerous enemies, right?
yeah.
We have a few dangers.
Oh.
Me into.
Why did I
So-
join?
So
I'm
basically,
regretting my life choices.
Shen failed to mention this.
Shen failed to mention a lot of things.
I look directly over to Sir Thorston. I am fully willing to offer you full disclosure into the events of which they speak. I am also prepared to simply gather up our belongings and leave if that is what you so request.
Well, he just kind of sits there, and he's like, his wife, Penelope, is like grasping his hand, and they're both just kind of, they're not shaking. I mean, he's a knight. He knows he knows the Onyx Order. He's seen he's probably seen these people before. He's not shook, but he's just very put off and kind of takes a deep breath and looks at his lap for a moment and then looks back up at you and says, "The group of adventurers that I met on the road were not bad people. They helped those in need that they saw, that they came across. I don't pass judgment for your deeds. We all have a past. I would like to know what he's talking about. It sounds rather disturbing, to say the least, breaking into a prominent Imperial's house. What was that about?"
So we begin to explain to him as far as our previous association with the Marquis.
Marquis, out of Brackenshire. Doesn't he run some half-rate guild called, what is it, the Order, or the Outfit, or the Corporation, something like that?
Yes, something like that.
Go on.
The Syndicate, yes.
Ah, that's it.
And so,
Syndicate.
yes, the Syndicate. So we explain how we were tasked with procuring an object from the lady, and we weren't completely on board with it, but he really drove a hard bargain, made it kind of really impossible for us to turn it down. But immediately when we saw the bloodbath in front of us, our mission immediately changed to one of defense. And I described my attempts as far as what he was talking about, charming the guards. That was an attempt to avoid further bloodshed.
Ah, yes. Mind control can be sticky business. I don't employ it myself, but several of my associates in the Knight's force, they use magic. Sometimes you have to persuade people through arcane means. I can understand that, and if what you're saying is true, and I'm sure it is, acting in self-defense is, well, it holds up in court here. It seems to me that should you complete this endeavor and find these, what do they call them, the Breakers? Sounds
Yes.
like a ghastly band of thugs. You should have no trouble in cleaning up your reputation and clearing your names of any wrongdoing, which is
Yes.
quite generous for the High Inquisitor, I must tell you.
However, Sir Luther, we pledged our service to you before pledging to the Onyx Order.
Oh yes, well, the Land Shark is only a day's ride northwest, and I needed you to complete that task before the tournament, and that's in a week. If I remember what the High Inquisitor said, he's giving you at least a month.
We will honor our agreement.
Splendid! See? Thorston, I knew these were the right sort. And he just sort of slaps Zazaros on the back really hard, and it hurts.
Yeah. Okay. Good thing I finished chewing and swallowing.
And he just... Sir Luther is so not fazed by what just happened. Like, he's digging into another turkey leg and just ripping the meat off the bone. He gives 0 Fs.
Good.
As the evening draws to a close, albeit much quieter than it started, Sir Thorston offers you rooms in his estate. It's still early. It's about 7:30, 8 o'clock about this time. It's not quite bedtime, but he does offer you all each a lavish room with canopied beds, cushioned seating. The air smells sweet. It seems a very luxurious place to spend the night, should you choose to retire at that point.
If he's willing to have us in his home, I'm willing to sleep in the bed he offers.
Okay. Well, I guess the question is there anything any of you would like to do, say, interact with, roleplay, or do anything before the night comes to a close?
I'll take a little bit to read some of my book, as well as to write a letter to my family.
Okay. You also, I forgot to post this. You guys kind of get a look at these brands on your neck, and it looks like this. And they hurt. They do not feel good.
These brands, are they going to be removable, or like when we complete the task?
So he says.
Okay.
Would you like to make an insight check?
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead and roll insight.
I have no idea. I believe him.
I'm probably not much more than you.
That's not bad, Sazaros. I mean, he seemed to have conviction behind everything he said, and he seemed to mean everything he said. He didn't seem like someone that gave empty threats. He didn't seem like somebody that would lie at face value. At least not to you.
Right.
His threats seemed quite positive, as did his promise of removing the brands.
All right. Yeah. So I would say yes. Like you said, he has the utmost conviction in what he is saying. So if he says they will be neutralized, I'll take him at that.
So as this is going on, you are kind of chatting with some of the other members of the party about the Onyx Order, because you do know them.
Yeah, they're not really to be trifled with, but I mean, at this point we have no kind of choice but to just hope for the best.
I think we could have just taken them just now, but oh well.
We
Dude,
could not. We all would have died the most horrible death.
You think so?
I know so for a fact. The Onyx Order is not to be trifled with.
Yes,
even the upper ranks of nobility know where to draw the line, and it is firmly before anything to do with the Onyx Order.
And you saw how the Hargroves, how they didn't put up anything.
I would say that Sazaros, even Maven, and maybe Baranor, just because you have visited civilization before. You would know the Onyx Order to be the intelligence agency of the Empire. These are the ones that they find things and people and information and either distribute them or keep them secret. And anyone who threatens that challenge is never seen again.
DIA, NSA. Okay then. Well, who's ready for bed?
Yeah, your rooms are splendid. They are.
I will spend an hour tuning, by the way.
Okay, to your focus.
Yes.
That's fine. So I heard somebody say they wanted to do book reading. What was that about?
Yes. Me, remember I still have that book, A Man of Honor, A Heart of Stone.
Okay. Do you happen to know how much more you have to read?
Well, you gave me 72 hours of reading it. So far, I've been able to put in 6.
6, okay. You can definitely pack 4 hours into it tonight before you fall asleep on your book.
I too would like to read about my potion making book.
Okay. Yeah, you can add 4 to it as well. Was there anybody else who had any books? I know Atgierr had some books, but I don't know if he shared them with anybody.
No.
There are more books in your or bag of holding or satchel or whatever. You guys kind of cleaned out that bookshelf way back in the sewers. I don't know if anybody else wants to put some hours into reading. For Steph and Bogey,
Yuno's gonna put in 4 hours.
into what?
My book of command.
Okay. For Steph and Bogey, the group found a collection of books in a bookshelf, and several of them have some properties that you can learn or glean once you put in a specific number of hours into reading them and practicing with them.
Okay.
So I don't know if anybody has the list available to them right now. It would take quite a bit of searching through the chat, because I believe I posted them into the chat. It might have been in the notes.
We'll definitely inquire with the party about what these books that everybody seems to be reading are.
I've got it. I found it. Okay. So there's I'm gonna omit the books that are being read by other people. So there's The Hand and the Razor, which is fiction. It's a story of a man claiming vengeance. 56 hours. You know what? I'm just gonna post this in the chat so that you guys can read it and pick one. I'm not gonna sit here and talk all day. Proceeds to talk all day. So, 3 Sheets Pale Ale, Atgierr has that one. A Man of Honor, Heart of Stone, Sazros has that one. I think Poisonous and Medicinal Plants and How to Spot Them. That's not the one you're talking about, right, Barry?
No, I have another one. It's called Potion Making for Beginners or something like that.
Okay. So I would say, aside from 3 Sheets Pale Ales, any one of these books are up for grabs. So if you wanted to grab one, you can add it to your inventory.
Oh, wait, the book on lycanthropy, Rish had. So that one's gone.
Oh, you got rid of that one?
Rish
Rish had it.
Oh, well, he took it with him. I'm going to get rid of it as if it never was.
Someone's reading the herbalist book, you said?
I don't believe so.
I will take that one.
Okay. Steph, anything for you?
You're muted.
Sorry. I said
It's
I'm
okay.
just reading really slowly today.
That's fine.
I guess I'll take the last one, The Worm of the Grasping Ridge.
All right. You can go ahead and you can like copy and paste that whole thing into your inventory just so that you have the instructions. And I don't think I attached a time limit to that. So that's more like it pops a quest marker up on the map kind of a thing and gives you an idea where to look if you were so inclined to hunt this legendary red dragon. It kind of gives you an idea on where it would be. Like, for instance, this dragon that you guys are tracking in the Call That Sticks, you have no idea where the lair is, so you have to like put in a lot of work and effort into finding out when that is, whereas here, you know right where to go. And you guys find yourselves in your rooms. I mean, the walls are like mahogany and like, you know, beautiful silk sheets on the beds, and it's just like you lay down in them and they just kind of envelop your whole body and almost swallow you, and you all of you drift off into sleep, some of you with books laying on your faces or chest, your night goes by without any issue at all. And you awaken in the morning to a member of the housing staff bringing in a small tea tray with what looks like some pastries and a small kettle of tea and some fruit in a little bowl, and leaves you to your privacy.
Nom nom nom.
It's really good. It's well-made
Enjoys it.
food. You haven't had fresh pastries in a long time. Even when you go to a tavern or a bakery, usually you get like something that's been out for a couple hours. This is all stuff that just came out of the oven. It's warm and soft and delicious. You rise and find the Lady Penelope tending to the children in the outside garden. You do not see Sir Thorston or Sir Luther. It appears they have left for the day on some kind of business, according to the Major Domo.
Okay. I come to extend a farewell to the Lady Penelope.
She's kind of kneeling on the grass next to their son, Riza, and just kind of making small movements. It seems she's probably in her late second, early third trimester of her pregnancy. She's not showing it too much in her face. She's stunning, but she kind of takes your hand and gives you a little subtle curtsy and bids you all a very fond farewell.
I do have a favor to ask.
Of course. What is it?
Well, two actually. One, if this letter could be sent on by carrier, I would appreciate it. It's a letter to my family. And also, if these 5 gold pieces could be sent to the Frosty Ale, with my apologies for missing tonight's planned performance.
Well, that's most generous of you. I will definitely see that this letter is sent, and that the money, Dalkin, yes, would you please, yes, please come over here. And you see her motion for the Major Domo. She kind of hands the coins to him. Please see that that makes its way over to the owner of the Frosty Ale, by way of the crown collectors, for Sazros being unable to attend tonight's festivities. And you see him give a very deep bow. Of course, my lady. And he kind of disappears into the house somewhere.
All right. May we meet again under fair fortunes.
I have no doubt, brave Mr. Sazros.
All right, and at that we got to get livery.
You all have horses.
Okay, we go
You've
get
got
our horses.
and a cart. The only two who do not have horses at this point are Maven and Baranor, but the cart definitely holds 2 people. It holds actually like 3 or 4 medium creatures.
Yeah.
We have Atgier's horse as well.
Yes, you do. It's actually he rides a pony, but I'm sure the elf could probably ride it without a problem.
Maybe we should leave the pony for Atgierr if he wants to catch up to us.
But seeing a dwarf run after us would be so funny.
It would, and it would serve him right for leaving us. So,
Upon mentioning the dwarf, Penelope kind of perks up, and she says, I believe we have some news on that front. It appears your dwarvish friend got into quite a few hijinks the night he went missing. Apparently blustering out into the night air, drunkenly screaming at bystanders, he was stopped by some blackguard who tried to usher him into an inn, and unfortunately the dwarven gentleman punched one of the blackguard in the face.
It apparently did not go over too well, and he was locked up in the tower. But I'm sure you will be able to get him out. They usually don't keep people in for drunken belligerence for more than a day. Might even come out with you today if you were to give the right persuasion. And she's looking at Sazaros.
All right. My lady, it would be a singular honor and pleasure if you would accompany us.
Oh, you need me to go with you?
But isn't that what you said? I'm sorry.
No, she's talking about you persuading the guard.
Ah, I'm on it.
That's what your passive insight will tell you.
Okay, thank you.
Of course, of course. Good luck to you all, and hope to see you again very soon.
All right. So we make our way over to the tower again to bail our drunken dwarf out.
Yeah, it's quite a journey. It takes you about 20-30 minutes to huff it on foot down to the... It's not the watch. It's not the captain of the watchtower. This is a separate tower. It's a lot larger. It's made of kind of gray stone. It doesn't look like it was given as much accoutrement as the captain of the watch's tower. This definitely has iron bars on its windows. It looks like a place to keep undesirables. And you kind of make your way to inside the building, present your case. The guard kind of begrudgingly looks you up and walks you up the tower a few floors and presents you and kind of just leaves you here and posts up at the end of the hall. And as you peer into the cell, dimly lit by the window beyond, you see the familiar frame of an unconscious, snoring, farting, hungover dwarf. And that's where we're going to leave tonight's episode.
Yay!
Excellent. So land shark we need to be prepared for next week.
Yes.
Amway. UNICEF.
Well, first and
Land shark.
foremost, we need to figure out who's in the breakers, because if we don't do that within like a month, didn't he say we were
I thought it
going
was
to
2
get
months.
executed?
Oh, it's
I
within
think
a
Was
month.
it 2 months?
Yeah, I think he said a month before
Yeah.
we're
Okay.
offed.
So
Well,
we may
It's a month
actually have
after
to
your
forego
deadline.
The branding would kill us.
a month
a month
after our
after-
deadline.
Yeah, a month after your deadline, and the deadline is a month.
Oh, so 2
So
months from
technically
now
we
we
have
die
2
either way.
months.
Yeah, we have a time
Yeah.
limit on our lives that is much shorter
Yeah.
than I think any of us would like. So we need to figure out who's in the breakers now.
Well, so are we going to forego the Ellington Classic then?
I definitely wanted to take part in the Ellington Classic.
As did I.
Yep. May also be an opportunity to gather intelligence.
Perhaps.
And funds.
I know
And
nothing of these
funds.
breakers, so I don't know how many there could be. What?
I think we should
Oh, we
spend...
know there are at least 3 assholes.
Yeah, I think we should spend a little bit of time gathering as much information about them as possible. Finding out who they are, how many, how widespread is this group. And then we'll spend the rest of the time hunting and killing them.
This sounds like a fun conversation to have in 2 weeks.
Yep.
All right.
That was a lot of fun, guys. Sorry we didn't get into any
Yeah.
combat. The roleplay took a little longer than we
Whatever.
all thought.
Not every
That was fun.
session's going to be combat. That's fine.
Yeah. But, that was a lot of roleplay.
So 2
So
more-
good job, all of
2
you. You
more
came
weeks.
out of it alive.
That was fun, you guys.
Yeah, 2 more weeks for Maven and Baronor to go, what the hell have we gotten into?
Seriously.
Why are we
seriously.
here?
I pictured us just like looking at each other like, what the fuck just happened right now? We're just sitting here having
we could
dinner with these nice nobles, and then all of a sudden I'm being branded.
All of a sudden, half the
the
party
nightmare
gets
order.
branded.
I will say,
Nightmare order.
Wait. That's a clarification. Did all of us
Yeah.
get branded, or just
oh,
you
I
guys?
will
No.
say, I forgot to write that down. I will say that Maven and Baranor did not get branded, being that you were not the ones that they were here to see.
Okay,
Yeah,
it,
you
it-
guys,
it
you
sounded
guys
like
did
you.
not. You guys were not a part of the royal fuck up that was the Brackenshire heist.
Yeah.
So-
But he said something about roping these fools into the thing.
Yeah.
So I assumed that we were all getting.
Well, that would
lumped into
have
that.
fools we-
pertained to Koza, Yuno, and Atgierr, which
Oh, okay.
Atgierr
Oh,
managed
right.
to dodge all this.
Yeah, he did. Oh my god.
All right, I
Bastard.
disguised myself. I forgot about that.
Unless you want to
And I
rope
don't
it
even
that
know how
Atgierr,
they
while
saw
in
me.
jail got branded as well.
I don't even know why I'm branded. Like, I don't even know how they even like saw me from that.
That's right. All blue
You
Falcon.
walked
I
into
know,
the
there's-
residence, and you were part of the whole escapade. Like you were there when the guards were being enthralled by Sazaros. He's just the only one they know by name.
And for all
They're
I know,
actually
they're still
looking-
looking
But they know
for...
me as Kravish.
Yeah, they were looking for a blue-skinned elderly humanoid, but that was Koza, and he was disguised, and he's not anymore. So they
No,
didn't
the
even
blue
know.
skin elderly. It was actually Rish.
No,
He was in
Rish
his
was-
old man garb.
Nope, Rish
No.
was disguised
went-
as
Rish
Lady
will
Valandiir.
bear.
Rish was disguised as the lady. I was disguised as an old dude, but I forgot to change my skin tones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like the deadest giveaway.
Yeah. So, we'll see each other on the 6th of November. Yeah, that sounds about right. My freaking calendar app takes forever to load. Yeah, 6th
Yes.
of November. So, until then, guys
Only
have a
one
great
day.
couple weeks.
It's only one day
Yeah.
after an easier day to remember.
Yeah. 5th
Ah.
of November.
Yeah.
So we'll see everybody in 2 weeks. Have a great couple weeks, and thanks a lot. We'll see you guys later, okay?
All right.
All right.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Toodles.